Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lands of Lazrikaan, Episode 7. Why don't, for the recap, Psychopathic is going to, Scott is going to take us in there. So, Scott, why don't you give us the recap?
All right, now I'm second guessing where to start. Holy kerfuffles. Did we arrive in the town? Is that where we started?
I believe so.
Okay.
We start at. Sorry. Let me pull it up real quick because I should know. I should know. I wrote this. Uh, Following their time at the farmhouse.
That's a lot of notes.
Oh yeah, that's not
We
okay.
had a very eventful session. A lot of shit happened.
Oh yeah.
I remember we talked to a lot of people. That's all I remember. Anyways, okay, so here's what we got so far. What happened 2 weeks ago, technically yesterday, in the game system itself. But okay, so they left this farmhouse. The party leaves and continues on their way towards Haleth. Although the several days' ride, Arthur keeps track of a large creature. Archer. Sorry, I am bad with names right now. Or potentially several creatures. They maybe, following the party. Eventually, Fash identifies the mysterious creature as a small pack of still living gnolls. The gnolls keep a respectable distance from the party, who decides to hunker down in the forest for the night. During the night, the party are eventually alerted by loud sounds. Something has attacked the gnolls, and the party decides to leave. Um, through the wait, through a combination of artists and Sarens pushing the cartwheels out of the mud of a sudden storm to be chalked, chalked, Basvir
Chalked.
chalked. Uh, they pushed the cart out. Worked with the horses, and the party managed to escape the forest, having no idea what attacked. Okay, the storm does not let up, and Arthur, man, why can't I put an E in there for some reason? Believes that it will only grow more dangerous with time. Therefore, he pushes on to Halif for going to sleep for the day. Arriving in the town of Halif, the party is given a wide berth by villagers seemingly suspicious of these new outsiders. At the recommendation of Fash, the party splits up to investigate ways to get to Green Creek faster than they can accomplish on horseback. This is after they took a nap. Okay. Forms one team. Oh, Basbir, Archer, and Saren form one team, while Varia and Tamir form a second. So then we have Tamir and Avir are not able to learn of a faster method of transport, though they do learn much about the suspicions and local politics. According to rumors and information they hear, Holliff is currently undergoing a rash of skullduggery from various rival guilds spying on one another along the city, which forms an important trade center. The underhanded streak by the guild has made the locals more insular and distrustful of strangers, so they don't trust other people. Got it. So, Basbir, Archer, and Saren find themselves talking to the locals and learning of the local smuggling operation known as the Wooden Foot and of their leader. Ooh, I'm gonna botch that name like none other. Gerard Tackert, maybe? Um,
Gilrad Tackard.
Tack. There. Okay, so they fork over 2 gold to get this information and settle on sharing this with everybody else when they get back together. Okay, but then Arthur and Varya, while out walking, run into the curly-haired man they met at the farmstead, who brings them information about Tackard, the Gerald Tackard, and learn that she stays at a barn nearby, which is trapped to deter by prying eyes of locals. Oh, which is trapped to deter people. Okay. They also learned that she is currently in danger and that the party needs to go to her quickly before ill fate befalls her. Curly haired man that then disappears into the shadows, leaving nary a trace. Okay, one more paragraph. We're almost done, people. A lot happened, like they said. Almost done. Okay. So, in a hurry, the party rushes to this barn to find that Gerald Tacker is in tense conversation with a group of gnolls. Thinking quickly, Bazbear draws the attention of the I lost my line. Bestial folks attempting to negotiate. The gnolls leader sniff around Bazbear and takes his book. Finding a strand of the undead gnoll fur and asks where they found it. Bazbear responds that they took it in a battle and the gnolls argued amongst themselves before seeming to accept this answer. The party learned the pact led by wise woman Thurna, Hunter Riurge, man, I'm bad with names, and Chief Gerar, that sounds like a fun name, are hunting these undead abominations. Oh. Bazbear relates his grim pertinence to Thyrna, who, after arguing with her pact mate, seems to understand the plight they are all in. The Gnolls, after offer one favor, which party takes up to get Tackard out of trouble. Riorge, the most continuous of the group, I'm not sure, seems to dislike the favor and notes to the party that they will most likely meet again on the battlefield. I remember that conversation. The Gnolls dispense and use their newfound leverage. Leveraging the party leads to Gerald's to commander his birds down the river to their eventual destination of Green Creek. Wow, we did do a lot.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
All right.
All right.
So, where are we at time-wise as far as the day?
That's a great
Was-
question.
Later in the day, I think it might have been coming
I meant
on
like
dusk or night.
I mean, like, how many days have passed? What do we have as the last listed date?
The
Uh,
last
the,
one today is 20th of Decto.
20th of
The
Decto. Okay.
the
And
last
then we
one.
went like
we went like a week,
week.
I believe, of travel, wasn't it? We did 7
Yeah.
days of
To
travel.
get to
Yeah.
this town, it was 7 days, so it would have been like the 26th or
27th.
27th.
Yeah,
Well,
so we had
it was more like four. Yeah, no, it was about 7 days because your halfway point was the farmhouse.
So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
will put that down.
So we started last session.
21st through 27th.
Yep.
So,
So I guess today would be the 28th of Decto. What is it? 30-day months?
let's see. I think it's. Well, I think it's 16 months to a year for you. It's 8 days to a week. So 8 times 4. So 32, right?
32.
Yeah,
32. So
32. So 32 days to a month.
yeah. So I'm assuming that Gailrad wanted us to rest through the night before she got her barge going. So we'll settle on
so-
28th of Decto.
All right. So Well, the well before you guys wake up, I have one thing, So maybe we get like the title page with, the hawk or eagle or whatever flying over the forested areas of the Lazrikaan forest, and we get you know, maybe we see the village of Halif down below, and then we get the title, and then we come back in. And Avaria,
Yeah. Yes.
you find yourself in a garden, a rather fancy maze garden type place, and you kind of don't know where you're at. And as you're trying to get your bearings, maybe you're walking through and you're walking under like a vine trellis of some sort or another, um, you see ahead of you a woman as pale as you've ever seen with dark, dark, long flowing hair. And she looks at you, uh, and she looks at you and seems to see right through you and begins to move on, like moves for like goes down one of the sort of like hedgerows, one of the, sort of like legs of this maze.
Is there anybody else around?
Nope.
All right. I am going. Do I recognize her at all?
You have a feeling that there's something familiar about her, but you have no idea what it is. You don't immediately necessarily recognize her.
Okay. I say, hello, hello. Where are we? And I and I follow after.
As you follow her, she takes various twists and turns, and you don't. And uh, there's a moment like she doesn't. She looks over her shoulder once or twice to make sure you're still following her, but she does not like give you any like any sort of like auditory reply, and usually cuts down another path right about the time you catch up enough to get somewhat close to her, forcing you to. And after maybe a few 2 or 3 more twists and turns, you find yourself looking in the middle of this this opening area, and there's a large fountain in the middle, and it seems to be decorated with all kinds of different like swirling motifs, um, that you can't that I don't know, maybe you can identify them, maybe you can't. Would you like to make any kind of knowledge check here to see if you can make heads or tails of the motifs on the fountain?
Would that be a what kind of knowledge would that be? I do have I have a decipher script. Would that work?
I think it's more like iconography than script. So
Okay.
I think like if you have some sort of maybe knowledge religion or
Yeah.
knowledge
Oh yeah.
history of some sort,
Knowledge
you like to
religion.
make
Here.
a well, it's very base level, but the you know, you realize that sort of the swirling patterns remind you of the holy symbols uh of Seta, as a matter of fact, who is the goddess of dreams and the goddess of prophecy. But this woman, who is now standing at the fountain, gives you something of a sardonic smile, dips her hand in the water, takes a drink from the water of the fountain, and disappears.
Hello. Where did you go? And I walk over to the fountain, and I also hesitantly take a sip of the water.
You get just the briefest flash of images that are very strange and yet somehow familiar, disturbing, yet at the same time comforting. Nothing you can really, your conscious mind can make sense of, but there's a feeling of uncomfortable familiarity to it that you're not entirely certain about, and then you wake up in a start, coming back to the world, to the world around you, in a cold sweat.
Oh, what do I wake up to? Like, and where am I at?
You did did you guys where did you guys decide to go to sleep at? Were you
I think we were staying in Gailrad's barn house.
okay? All right. So yeah, this is what you wake up to. Like, um, maybe everybody else is asleep except for whoever is on watch, which you guys, whoever you want to be on watch is on watch.
Probably. I would say Bazbeer would be on watch. If it's like, is it the middle of the night or is it like morning?
I'd say it's early morning.
Yeah, I'd still say Bazbeer's up. He doesn't sleep super well.
So
It's
yeah, back then you see me like jump up with a start, like eyes wide, sweat kind of dripping down my uh, forehead, wipe my brow, breathing heavy. What was that?
Uh,
What was
I
that?
think
What was
Bazbeer
that?
turns and says, "Ah, you're awake. You seem as if you've been started by something."
Yeah, it's a dream. It's familiar feelings, familiar faces, but it was quite peaceful, and I don't know why I'm so agitated.
Hmm. Heed this. Dreams are important tools. Seda speaks to us through them.
Seta? Seta, yes. I saw some Seta uh, iconography in the dream. It was very strange, and it was a woman from some half remembered face. It was very odd.
You notice that Bazbeer slowly opens his book and begins writing, and he kind of gives you this serious look, like he's intently listening.
And she like puts her hand on your like writing. She says, I would rather not record this. Uh, if it's
He
all the
kind of
same.
he kind
I would
of frowns a little bit, but will acquiesce and close the book slowly and hesitantly.
and
Hmm.
she says, I am happy to have you as a confidant, but until I know what like it is simply a dream. And I don't want to make it a bigger deal than it actually is. The horrors we've seen in this world are nothing compared to this dream is nothing compared to the horrors we've actually seen in the world, and I've faced scarier things than a dream. And I think it's okay. Um,
Ju- just remember, when the Lords of Dominion and the House of Salvation speak, it is often wise to listen, young Evaria.
very, very well. Thank you, Basbeer. I think
Aye.
I'll I think I'll try to get a little bit more sleep if it's not too late. And like
Hmm.
she like rolls over and lays down, but she doesn't actually close her eyes. She is like really thinking about this dream, but she is
Hmm.
like trying to away from Basbeer so he doesn't see that she's like really worried about it.
Oh yeah, Bazbeer, the second you roll over, Bazbeer turns on his seat back to whatever direction he was facing and continues to stare blankly out whatever window or portcullis there is.
Right.
Yep, yep. And that's that for Ivaria. She is like just kind of like pretending to sleep while she worries.
The rest of the night passes relatively uneventfully. Like those of you who are at watch, note that Gilrad, if she sleeps at all, sleeps lightly and takes just mostly naps here and there because she occasionally leaves the barn and comes back. You're fairly certain that she's doing whatever she needs to do to get the barge that she promised ready. Um, Probably communicating with her people. But when the morning breaks, it is stormy, and Gailrad informs you that it's not a good time to start taking off on the barge at this time. It'll have to delay a day. Fash sort of half-hearted or argues the urgency of it, but you can tell he's really not as thrilled about going into the storm as uh, as all that. He simply is kind of doing. You get the feeling there's some level of like responsibility to try to keep things on a time track. But it goes behind it. But he's probably aware that it's not a great time to jump onto a barge and head down river just yet. Um, but after but while that's going on, while he's kind of talking to Gail Rad about this, what are the rest of you doing? Like as you kind of wake up and get around and find out that it is storming out there, which you guys are still getting at least a little bit wet. I mean, this is a rundown old barn. It doesn't provide the greatest of shelter.
I know Avaria is the last one to get up because she stayed up later than she should have, and she finally did fall asleep. So as everybody mills around, she's like knocked out. Somebody have to wake her up.
Bazbeer grumbles to anyone who will listen, saying it loud enough that people can hear, but not at anyone in direction. Hey, I'm so glad we forgo the weather in the tunnels. If we had to fight the undead and the rain, then we would have been dead long by now.
Just complaining about the rain. I love it.
Yeah.
I think Archer's just up in the hayloft, like. Archer's fine. Archer is not making a big fuss of this. Archer is just laying on a big old pile of hail. Or not hail. Hay. The weather's not that bad that he can sit on a big old pile of hail yet.
No.
And just kind of leans over with the rustling of hay and looks down at Bazbeer with all his hair going wild and is like, would you keep it down? This used to be a nice neighborhood.
Bazbeer grumbles under his breath in some undescribable old man noise.
Okay, I'm gonna spend most of the day then, since they said we're not going nowhere, is cleaning up the barn. He feels the need that it needs to be organized and cleaned for as a payment type thing of letting us sleep here.
Right. I think after you guys are like maybe kind of getting around after a while, Fash comes back and he's like, all right, everybody, let's have a well Miss Tackard is seeing to arrangements, and we've got a couple of making sure the barge is secure and all. We've got a couple of minutes. Figured we might stop and sit a moment, talk about how operations need to work in the field, at least a little bit. And it's like, so I think I'll start by asking a question. Anybody here pick up on what the proper first things to do whenever you hit a new village or settlement or city of any kind is?
Avaria finally wakes up and stretches and says, probably we would like to lay low as possible and stay out of the locals' hair. But more than likely, it is to ask the locals if anything is suspicious is going on. Oh, why did you let me sleep so long?
Bash kind of looks around at everybody like, well, why did y'all let her sleep so long?
Bazbeer shoots a knowing glance at her, but doesn't speak up.
Would
Fash, that's
nobody?
completely unfair. We're
You
not
think?
doing that sort of bar thing where someone asks a question and because you can't answer it, you have to be the smart guy by making someone else answer it. So you go, yeah,
Oh,
see there.
no, it was more to the point of I was busy and you guys had more time to wake her up. Either way, moving on. You are at least partially correct, the Miss Kraz. First thing to do is to start asking questions. Get a lay of the land, feel out what's going on, what the local news is, and what's it. Once you know what's happening, you can start figuring out what connects to our investigation and start figuring out what leads to follow.
Eyes, ears, and if necessary, hands.
This is part of the job of figuring out what you're trying to investigate should be done before you even get to a place because you should know why you're going somewhere in the first place. When you're on your first day in, you're looking for leads. You're also doing one other thing, something that you guys haven't thought of yet.
Being nice. Oh.
Thanks for trying, Saren. He goes, he goes, somebody needs to set up whatever base of operations. Somebody needs to go in, set up the figure out what inn or tavern or set of circuit or barn you're sleeping in, how much you got to pay for it, and how much you got to pay for a certain amount of discretion. Somebody needs to always set up the base of operations. This is so when you get into a town, when you get into a new place, find a place to stay and where you're going to and try to figure and how you keep as best discretion as possible and find leads. He says "Mm," he says there should always be one person who is doing who is staying close to the base of operations to act as a center point for all information gathered. After you spend some time gathering information, we do what?
Have lunch.
He is not wrong there.
I feel like Arthur was about to respond, but then Saren says that, and Arthur visibly just rolls back over onto the hay bale like he's like, fuck it, I'm going back to sleep. I can't do this anymore.
It's like he says, he says, we've been doing it. We meet back at whatever our base of operations is. A unit meets back at whatever base of operations they have, and they collect all of the information and parse through it. This is to decide what leads to follow up on and what the plan of action is. This is you don't leave a place until you find out until you hit mission objective, whether that mission objective is to disrupt operations of whatever criminal and or cultish activity you find, or whether it's to simply gather information and report it back. This is he said he kind of looks around and he's like he says this is how you need he says this is how an intelligence operation works. Intelligence unit goes out into the field and go and operates by a set of standards in order to efficiently gather information, parse through it, decide what leads to follow up on, and create a plan. This is, and he kind of looks around. And he kind of looks around at all of you, and he kind of looks around at all of you, and he's like, "We're going to be delayed for the day. Storm, not good to get started on the barge, but when things clear up, we'll be out on the barge." Says somebody's going to need to go back into Halif proper to get our wagon and our horses, get our probably a couple people. The barge will fit all of it. So he's like, he's like, He's like, you guys are going to have to probably figure out who's going back to do that. Says, he says, I'll keep our communications with Miss Tackard open, keep him point of contact there. He's like, but outside of that, he goes, he just shrugs his shoulders.
I think
I suppose I can go and try and get our things.
Yeah, he's like, don't feel like you got to do it now. But before, he says, but we can't leave until we do go get it. Might wait until the storm dies out some. Unless, of course, you really want to brave the storm for this.
No, not particularly.
He's like, but he kind of shrugs his shoulders and he kind of goes back to, he's like, well, he goes, I'm going to keep an eye out for our contact. And he goes, and as he's kind of leaving, he takes a moment, probably, um, maybe kind of, he's like, hey, he's like, I think, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Uh, he's like, Archer, can I get a word with you?
There's a sigh before he rolls over and just drops down from the hayloft onto some also conveniently placed hay by Fash, and just a.
He says, yeah, when you manage to get close enough, and he's got a moment to get your ear out of earshot of everybody else. Says I been talking to our friend Miss Tackard. This is seems like there's some stuff going on up north in Pinefall. Says he says seems like he says, of course, there's always some stuff going up close to the Death Wall Mountains. I got a question for you. He says, have you ever heard of something called the Forewarned?
No.
He
And
goes,
have you? Is this another history lesson?
he's like, no, he says, I haven't, but she mentioned the Forewarned. She mentioned the Forewarned was a sort of a organization or a collection of individuals that did a lot of undead hunting up there, but they've kind of gone quiet uh, over the last several years. Said, I felt like maybe it might be something worth looking up. Said the Wooden Foot had some connections with him at one point, but since they went dark, they've heard nothing of him.
With a name like Forewarned, I almost feel like you should be talking to Basbier rather than me about this.
He goes, except for the fact that Basbear's people, from his accounts, have been cloistered underground for hundreds of years. This is a more recent group. Timeline doesn't fit. I mean, normally I'd ask a priest of the goddess of prophecy directly, but it doesn't sound like he's had any contact with the organized faith on the surface world.
And you could always ask Varia. I think she mentioned being from up north.
I may at that. He goes, I may at that. He's,
But
and
I'll be
he kind of,
honest with you, Fash. I've been spending most of my life up north or here, wandering, boozing, whoring, or some mix of the three. I don't know a lot about mysterious groups hiding around and sniping out zombies.
maybe not yet, but I have a suspicion that you're going to be pretty good at this kind of stuff. He says, besides, he says, you're most familiar with the wilderness of anybody here. That dwarf cleric told me he foresaw my death. If anything happens to me, you're going to have to get him through the wilds, because I don't think the rest of them have enough Woodsland skill to last.
There's a flicker of something across Arthur's face, like a genuine concern, whether that be for Fash or even perhaps the idea that so much responsibility is going to fall onto him. But Archer very quickly taps that down and puts on just the roguish charm grin and goes, "What, are you already looking for a way out of this job? Well, not that bad."
I'm not looking for a way out of anything. But when a priest of the goddess of prophecy tells you he sees that you're gonna die, well, you kind of want to make a few backup plans, just in case they're right. Don't like to take a profit at face value, but I also don't want to ignore warnings that could be imperative.
There's a Archer is either religious enough or perhaps superstitious enough to not speak ill of the gods and their workers outright, but all of this talk of prophecy does earn something of a derisive snort and a
Uh,
folding of his arms, but he doesn't say anything and lets Fash have this with a nod.
yeah, and he goes, and I think he kind of looks at you. He also says, additionally, if it does come to that, I know she doesn't say a whole lot, and she's kind of been in the background as much as anything, but when you're in the city, you may lean on Tamir a little bit for doing a bit of legwork. She seems to have a certain amount of ability to, I don't know, seems to have a certain head on her shoulder when it comes to dealing with people. She made it this far from up south after all, and
She's a performer, Fash. Who's the first person that every drunk in the bar starts confessing all of their crimes to? Pretty face, who can do a pretty dance.
was, well, wasn't exactly how I was going to put it, but I suppose that's fair, some fair point in that. He's like, says, and he kind of goes, and he's like, I'll let you know if I hear any. He says, I'll keep you in the know on some things. And he goes, but, and he kind of says, I guess, as you were. He goes, he says, unless you want to spend a lot of time talking to a smuggler right now. He goes, and he kind of shrugs his shoulders.
Arthur probably leans his head back and listens for how hard the rain is before very quickly shaking his head. He goes, "No." Standing up with a bit of a grunt. "But just let me know before you go getting yourself killed, Fash. I'll make myself scarce."
He kind of laughs and he chuckles. He goes, I promise I'll do my best to let you know if I'm about to croak." And he kind of chuckles.
"Scream really loudly. It'll distract whatever's trying to kill you and give us time to get away," he says with a wave over his shoulders as he makes his way back to the ladder up to the hayloft.
And you get the impression that Fash gets some level of amusement out of that. Says, you, so do any of you have anything specific you need to do with the rest of your day, or any further conversations to have with each other or Fash or whatever?
Nope, not right now.
I would just like to say that when we get the cart, Basbeer, ever the logistician, will go with them.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's definitely going to make sure that everything is still on the cart. He triple checks that.
You know, I
Awesome.
feel like in that case, once the weather dies down, because Archer pretends to sleep this whole time, but probably spent all of this time staring up at the boards of the barn, trying to sleep, but just being very worried by everything that Fash just kind of put on him. And he will go and he'll, Basbeer will come along with him, and while they're picking their way through through the wilderness back towards Halef, he'll say something like, "So, Basbeer, you're one for prophecies and whispers, and totally not just crazy voices you're hearing in your head that are telling you things that are going to happen."
He kind of turns and says, I am a conduit, not something that I asked for, but something that was thrust upon me.
Have you spoken to Fash about anything?
Aye, we've had parting words.
No, not like sitting around the table having a chat about how lovely the sausage is. I mean, have you told him any of your future sights?
Aye, when I first met him, I told him what I had seen in my visions of him.
And what did you see?
Basbeer's face kind of goes dark and says, Wish you to peer into the fate of another man?
I think Arthur does give him a bit of a look like he gets a little bit tired of the doom saying bit of this,
Mm-hmm.
but gives out a frustrated snort through his nose and goes, I do when that man's fate and my fate are so closely intertwined right now.
He kind of turns and says, The fate that I have seen for Fash. And he'll kind of pause and mull over how he's going to put it, and he says, I have seen the man's death. I have seen when that gnome shall pass. Not in detail, but I understand that it is his role to die just as it is ours to sally forth.
But when? How?
The strings of fate are often played in mysterious chords, my friend.
There's another frustrated sigh at that, carting his fingers through his hair. And why aren't we working to stop this?
Basbeer will stop and kind of like stop the movement forward. He'll stand still, and he'll kind of place his hand on your shoulder, and he'll say, "There is not one who will know the day. There is not one who will know the future. Only glimpses, only passing thoughts, poor dreams. The words of gods are parsed apart. The strings of fate shall be played, whether we attempt to sever them or not."
So, what? You see some of the worst things that could happen to someone who is not only the holder of the coin purse, but also the only person in this group who seems to have a head on his shoulders about what we're doing, where we're going, and why we're doing. And all you're going to do is just accept that.
And he'll kind of give you an earnest, kind of soft smile, and he'll say, "Have I ever told you why I left?"
You've mumbled enough that you saw things, yoinked a book, and came out here.
Aye, but it is more detailed than that. I left because I was unable to change the things that I saw. There are mysterious forces at work. The House of Salvation wishes to push forward the truth and to prepare us for the hard times to come. I am attempting to sever the strings of fate, just as the rest of us are. How successful we are is dependent on the grace of the gods themselves.
I think Archer gives a frustrated laugh at that. He's like, up until a month ago, I wasn't aware of any strings of fate. I just wanted to go through my life and have a good time, and now I'm here worried that the moment Fash is going to die out here in this godforsaken forest, it's going to be stuck to me to make sure that no one else does.
Bazbeer kind of chuckles at that. And he's got like this warmth about him that he isn't characteristically known for. And he'll kind of say, "'Twas it not to happen in our time. 'Twas it not to happen to us. 'Twas it not to happen to the world that we live. But
You're
my
not about to
friend,
tell me that it's what we do with what we're given, are you?
no, not at all. We are all given parts to play, and whether we wish to read the script and stick to our part or not is our own fate, our own choosing. You, my friend, you may have a larger role to play, but if you wish to go back to whoring and drinking, or a combination of both, that is your prerogative. Know, though, that the world will not change for your own myopic views."
I think he stops and looks back towards the farmhouse we just came from. Mulls it over, and there's behind his eyes you can see he's thinking of the last farmstead.
Mm.
Before he just lets out a long, deep sigh, starts going, and goes, "I hate that you're right, old man."
And Bazbeer will kind of chuckle at that again, and he'll say, "I've no soft words to offer you, no comfort to offer in these times. But let the warmth of the hearth within your chest know that you are trying to change the things that would sally these farmsteads, these poor people that live. The politics matter not. The people, that is what my purview is. And deep down I believe that your purview is there as well."
I feel like Arthur looks back, opens his mouth to say something, probably something quippy, but just stuff like has nothing to say. Just gives a small. It's hard to tell if he's dipping his head in resignation. Is he nodding? Is it any number of things it could be before he turns back and keeps walking towards Halef to get the horses?
Yeah, and Bazbeer will once again pick up pace, and I'm assuming that it's probably a pretty quiet journey to the horses at that point.
Quiet, slow, and muddy.
Mm-hmm.
So, why don't both of you give me spot checks?
Oh boy.
Before you fucking die. There's a 6 sniper just wait. Okay.
Nice.
Average.
Nice.
We take him. We take average.
Well, Bazbeer, you're probably sort of in your thoughts a little too much to see anything. And Arthur, you see plenty around you, but it does but the thing that gets you is what you don't see, or rather that is you don't see like any of the normal like forest animals you would expect to see, or even some of the rural farm animals. Like it's it's quiet. It's like the thing you notice is that it's quieter than it should be, but you don't see anything else out of place. Um, but it is relatively uneventful otherwise until you get back to, you get your the cart and the horses and stuff, and you get back.
Everything's
And
still on the cart?
yeah, everything is still on the cart.
Nice.
Like Fash made sure that the innkeeper was paid appropriately for making sure, and tipped the made sure to tip the stable hands that were going to be keeping where all your stuff was going to be appropriately enough to make sure your stuff stayed pretty well off. The like you managed to get back, and you know the rest I'm assuming this is probably happening like the next morning, but when the storm has worn off. So you're probably by the time you get back, like they're like you're basically because the farmhouse is right next to the river, right next to the Stolic River, and you see that there is a barge there, um, and that it is pulled up to the shore enough for you guys to get the all of your stuff onto the barge. Um, can somebody give me a handle animals check to get to make sure that the animals in the cart get on to the barge okay?
Well, I'll go ahead and do Tamir then.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably best to have Tamir because she's the animal
Yeah.
handler. So,
She's the
does
only
anybody
thing I'll
help her?
reveal is she actually is not an animal handler. She just happens to have a good stat in it.
um, the so does anybody help with this?
I will see if I can help. Avaria
Yeah.
will try to help.
All right.
Nope, fail.
Oof! Man, every time you handle animals,
I
It is
can
only
sure
one
try.
every time. I have a
The very it just scares animals. I love the
oof!
idea. Oh God, Archer.
Yikers.
oh
Man, these
no.
horses are not having a good time.
It is not that you guys can't get them on, it's that it takes longer than actually probably should to the point where, like, you guys could see, like, the sort of impatience and frustration on Gail Rad Tackard's face. She's got a crew of people with her, like, to man the barge and what have you, and like you finally get everything on. I think Avaria, you end up in the water at some point. So do you, Arthur. Both of you. It's like in the attempt, maybe like you get pushed off by like the horses on the
I
cart
feel,
and fall
with
off the other
Avaria's
side.
permission, I think that what happens is we both are kind of people to think that we know what's best, and we
Yes.
Yeah.
start sniping at each other until we both like end up getting each other knocked into the water in
I
a
think that
Right.
squabble.
I think that is right. I think that's right. We both are know-it-alls, and we both are working on the exact same thing and trying to tell the other person how to do it. And not only that, how we do it in the north.
And sit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of those like, well, I don't know how they do it in the South North, princess. But when you're
Right.
not with your nose in a book, that I as like
I
a
don't know.
he's trying to put on one of the stirrups under the
I know
horse that
an
lifts them
animal.
up.
You are
And
from
they're
the
just
city. As someone who is raised around farm animals, I know how. No,
I grew up in a literal barn.
I can tell.
Bazbeer, as soon as you both go in the water, you can lead a horse to water. Something or other. As he
I
just
think
walks onto the barge.
I feel like
I think
from the water, hearing that, Arthur just looks up at you, Bazbeer. Is like, I heard a rumor once that if you throw a dwarf into the water, they turn into tea.
No, we sink like stones. Moving on.
I think Fast just laughs at this. He's kind of like he's at that point of it's that helpless laugh of, oh my god, I can't do anything about this, but I'm just gonna. It's funny objectively, and I can't do anything about it. So
Sometimes you gotta laugh to make sure you don't cry.
right,
Exactly.
yeah. But you guys finally managed to
I
get
push
everything.
hard on. I just do exactly what everybody says. I
You
don't even question nothing.
Well, you also rolled sub 10. You just didn't roll as bad as Arthur and Avaria. So I think maybe you probably, you probably stub your toe and trip and smack yourself on the cart as you try not to fall. Like maybe you just like go head first into the back of the cart, like barely get your arm up in time to shield your face and keep
I
from
play it
falling
off
all the
like
way
I
down.
meant to do that too. I play off that I meant to do that too. Just
Give
so
me a
you're
bluff
aware.
check. Just give me a bluff check to see if you're able how good you are at playing this off.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
right on, right on.
Masterful
feel like-
maneuver, Mr. Saren.
I feel like, at least from Arthur's perspective, he has seen Saren be such a ditzy person, like completely getting distracted. Like, oh, hi, how are you? Kind of deal that, like, he'll buy anything.
He's just like, yeah. So you guys managed to get onto the barge, and you're going to. The first 2 days of travel are fairly normal. So I need perception checks from everybody for the first 2 days because I'm fairly certain that at least that you each take some level of turn, like watching, sort of like watching out for any kind of troubles or dangers.
Oh, that's terrible. And
Bazbeer is fucking dead to the world
Yeah.
on
No,
day
that was
one.
Tamir.
Oh, that
Tamir's
was
dead to the world.
Tamir is legitimately T-posing in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, Bazbeer's just writing in his book the whole time.
so whatever I'm supposed to see, I don't see anything, but I do hear something apparently. If I hear anything, how many should we do?
I think
2.
2 is what we're doing.
2? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
Let's
man,
see if Tamir does better. Nope.
I never see anything, but I always try to hear stuff.
Nope. Yeah, Tamir is
Must
still
have been the
T-posing.
wind.
So
Yet
Nope.
Tamir is having a really bad time. Tamir hates. This actually makes sense. Tamir's from South. Tamir's from the desert. Has probably never been on a boat before. Tamir's being violently river sick.
Yeah.
Tamir's, all
Yeah.
right. So Saren, on day 1, what time of day are you taking your watch? Like sort of like off of the, and what side of the boat are you watching off of? Like, or are you just patrolling?
I would think maybe probably around lunchtime or so. I don't know.
Okay.
Midday, and probably just trying to keep an eye everywhere. Like I would sit in the middle and trying to watch ahead, make sure nothing comes up on the front. Occasionally look back and then whatever.
All right. So on the first day, Arthur, you spot, first of all, Arthur, on the first day, you spot signs of spot signs of somebody following you, and give me a survival check on that. See if you can kind of figure out what's following you. And I'll get to you in a minute, Saren.
Got a 15.
15. So Arthur, although it doesn't really surprise you a whole lot, it seems like the Knolls, the Thunderfang tribe, at least one of them is tracking and following along your path from the shoreline. They're not in the river or anything, but from the shoreline. And you know that Knolls tend to travel fairly quickly overland, but you also know that there's a pretty good chance that you'll eventually lose him if you don't bank on the shore at all. If you just keep going down the river.
Right.
But it
I
is
feel like
it is instructive that they are there and they're keeping an eye on you, or trying to anyway.
how are they trying particularly hard to cover their tracks, or is this one of those? No, we want you to know that we're watching.
They're putting effort into it, and if you weren't like or if you weren't like a ranger, you probably would never notice. Like if your common person would not be able to notice. This is probably due to the fact that they may not know that's what you do for a living, and they may not really, or Fash for that matter, whom they never even saw Fash, so they don't even know he until like possibly when he's on the boat. But this may be that they just don't know there's a ranger among you, or that maybe they've underestimated your skill, or you got lucky. But like they're skilled, and they're definitely not making it obvious. But it's probably likely that they didn't think anybody would have the skill to spot them.
Right.
Saren, you see something very, very you see something on the first day. And it's but only for a moment. You see a very pale woman with auburn hair, that seems to be almost floating in terms of like how they're moving along the shore, like in the forest, simply standing there with like a faint green, uh, glow in her eyes, and her face is covered in stitches and scars. And those stitches seem to have some level of light or glistening to them. Like there's a sheen that's there for a moment, but from a certain angle. And she seems to be the watching the barge, and you see something with white fur behind her move up behind her, and it's massive, and it's hard to tell what it is until until it moves in front of her, and what you see is a pale white werewolf with glowing red eyes that just is carrying this enormous great axe, and it's wearing some, I think it's wearing like some leather, some bloodied leather armor over the top of it, specially designed for it, clearly. Um, and there is something very cold about the aura of both of them. Um, the It's hard to make out the woman's face due to sort of the glinting of the stitches and the distance and whatnot in full. So you can't tell much about her, but and especially when the white werewolf appears and sort of like comes out of the bushes and stands before and raises up. It's massive, and it looks at you, and it makes not a sound. You don't hear either of them make a sound. You only see them, and you see the woman put her hand on top of the werewolf's head, and the werewolf kneels down to a crouch in front of her with her hand on its head. Um, but you only see it for a brief moment, and the moment you turn around to go sound the alarm and look back again, they're gone.
Okay, so he would look at that, see it, and then look around to go be like, "Hey, what the? That
Yeah.
was cool." Anybody else see that? Am I the only one seeing weird
See what?
people?
What are you talking about, Saren? What are you looking at?
The wolf and the lady? There's this
What
big
wolf
white
and
wolf thing. It's
what
got a
wolf?
really
No,
cool act.
Wolf
point
thing.
point it out. Point it out, Saren.
Well, it was over there. She was floating. She got really it's this pale lady, glowy stitches. It was weird, but she
Oh,
had a wolf.
okay,
Uh,
Jester. As he describes this, does this look like the woman in my dreams at all?
No.
Okay.
The
Well,
woman
then
in your dreams had like had black hair, and there were no stitches in her face.
Okay, so then I'm like a floating woman with stitches and a giant and a werewolf. Look,
Okay.
sir, it's not that I don't believe you. You are a very honest person, but there's nothing there. Maybe you didn't sleep well enough last night. Maybe the rain addled your brain or something. I don't know.
Do not underestimate our companions,
So
Asbeer
you,
says.
Brad, you're the one that writes stuff down.
Aye, he says as he opens his book.
Record it. I'll describe detail. This lady stood there, and this wolf came up in front of her. It was like all big and bad and stuff. And then she put her hand on the wolf, and he kind of like was subservient to her. No, wait, no, that's not the right word. It was like, oh, but he
Our
was all
enemy.
big and scary, and then she did something, and it was all like, oh, I'm a cute little puppy now.
Our enemies grow in number and severity, he says as he continues to write. He says, perhaps this is the ravage we've heard of.
I think Fash kind of like is rubbing his chin and kind of looking in the direction that Saren is pointing. And, and he kind of narrows his eyes like and he looks at Saren and he's like, you're sure about that?
99.5% sure I saw it.
He kind of
Just that 1% that I'm like, did I get it? No, I got plenty of sleep. I've been doing pretty good for a couple of days.
hmm. He goes, he's like, huh. He goes, well, I think we need to take it under advisement. He says, he says, he's like, gotta remember, Saren is, he's got powers of the mind. Might be that he can see some things that we can't. Says, and Petter shrugs his shoulders and he goes, and he looks at you, he goes, and he kind of cocks an eyebrow. Though I must confess, I'm not entirely certain the extent or limits of his mind powers. He goes, he goes, he goes. But we have been. This has already been a fairly eventful journey. Well, let's all keep our eyes out. So the first 2 days are clear, with the exception of Archer. You notice that the gnolls are at least one of the gnolls is trying to sort of keep an idea and a pace of what's where you guys are at, um, or tracking you to some degree. Um, and Sarah, and you saw what you saw. There's as you move, but as when you get to day 3, bad things happen. Really bad things. Archer, give me a survival check, because if you make the survival check, you guys will get a plus on some things.
Come on, Archer.
Mm. Don't put that evil on me.
I believe in you.
I believe in you as well.
You know what? I still love you.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky
Look.
Bobby.
That's not as bad as it seems. That's not as bad
Yeah.
as it seems.
It hasn't come through for me yet. Oh,
Uh,
there it is.
I was about to
It's just
say,
survival. Yeah, it's not bad. Um, this isn't really hard to spot. You and like, because Fash would have spotted it too, but this just gives you an extra couple pluses. A storm breaks super heavy, and like you see the funnel cloud. Like you're looking up, Archer. Like you see like Gailrad, and you see both Gailrad and Fash scanning the skies, and you see the funnel cloud probably right around when Fash sees it, and the storm breaks heavy. There is the funnel cloud starts to whirl down and becomes a tornado. You are not directly in the middle of it, but you are close to it. It is tearing through the forest very close to you and very close to the river. So I'm going to need some checks here because
Oh,
you're in
God.
the water.
I was about to say, do we have any time at all to just beach the boat and make a scramble for some kind of gully?
Uh, you can give me a survival check to see if you can find some place that you might get some kind of cover, but you also might want to you also might want to consider your supplies that are on the barge as well, and the barge itself. So,
That's
um,
true. Supplies ain't worth dog if you're dead.
that's true. So, uh,
Oh. But it's a
Uh,
lucky number. Cope.
you cannot yeah, you cannot there is nowhere you can beach to get yourself, let alone your supplies, out of this. And the winds have picked up to where you are all now taking a -8 to you must all make listen checks to hear each other at a -8. Uh, and I think Fash starts shouting something, and if any of
Let's
you
get
want to
some
try to hear what Fash
listen.
is saying, you might want to roll some listen checks at a -8.
Okay. I'm just gonna roll this with my bow. So that would actually be a 2.
Okay.
Bazbeer's already mostly deaf.
Okay.
Bazbeer, probably unable
And
to be heard by anybody, says, Dairiki be damned!
Avaria. Okay. Theron. Okay. And those of you who have sense motive can try to use sense motive to figure out by body language what he's trying to tell you.
That's okay, we take it.
Yeah, we'll take that.
All right.
Oh,
Oof.
No.
my cataracts are. Oh, that's Tamir.
That's Tamir.
Uh,
She's still
Finn.
vomiting off the side. Vomiting even
So,
more because the wind.
all right. So those of you so Arthur, Bazbeer, with your sense motive checks, and Avare, you can just barely hear above the wind. What Fash is trying to communicate, is that somebody should get the animal, should take care of, calm the animals and get them to not move around, to keep the horses from panicking, and that somebody should secure your supplies down, secure the wagon and the supplies. Um, and he's trying to get anybody else who's not doing that to help Gailrad and her crew keep the barge from going under.
I would like to use a knowledge engineer to try and secure our cart.
Okay.
I,
All right.
Avaria is going to go for it one more time
Oh
and try to handle
God.
some animals. Because
All
that's the only
right.
thing that goes for me. She's like, oh, please, Ieri, please. Ah!
Hey!
Nice.
AK-47 for everyone.
Good job. Good job.
My
Yeah.
shoes.
So, what are the rest of you doing? If those of you who are not doing the animal, and are you guys going to help if anybody's trying to help the crew, I'm going to need strength checks.
That's probably what I'm gonna do. Because between all of it, this is about as good as I can do.
Okay. So Saren and Tamir, you're able to help the crew keep things keep things square from going under now. And you guys, so now I need everybody to make reflex saves because the bull, even though you guys are keeping it from going under,
Jesus.
it's still rocking pretty heavy and the wind is still very strong.
Damn you and your weather dice, Sean.
Hey,
You were
no.
not kidding about these.
Oh.
Okay, like oh my god. Well, let me get back to my that.
Oh shit.
All right,
That
reflex
was my
save.
good shit. Goodbye,
Oh.
Tamir.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, I feel bad because every roll I've made with Tamir has been sub 10. Most of them have been ones.
Right, I see that. Basbir, Averia, you are both able to maintain your footing. Are able to maintain your footing enough to get to either some sort of secure something to keep yourself standing. The rest of you, you have fallen to the deck of the barge, and I'm going to need an additional reflex save to see if you go off the side of the barge.
Oh, Christ.
Is there any ability to use equipment to our advantage to try and help?
What equipment? It depends on what equipment you have
Could I
handy on
like
your
try to
person.
use a what are they called? It's not a piton. I have like one of those ones in
Python?
the yeah. It's not a python. It's it's basically like an ice climbing axe that you use.
Do you have one?
I think it came with like the standard adventure and shit.
Well,
That might
look
be
in
a
your.
python. But I could still use that. The idea is something to like stab into the deck to get some sort of bite into it for a grip.
I'll give you a +1 if you have something handy you can do that with. You could even do that with a dagger if that's all
Oh,
you're trying to
thank
do is
God.
stab into the deck.
I have like 12. Brother, I got a lot of daggers. I'll use one of my daggers for that.
All right.
Act modifier? Oh, temp modifier. I was like, act modifier.
Tamir is still prone on the barge, but has managed to stop from going overboard this round.
Thank God.
That one might have been the difference maker.
Archer, you also managed to keep yourself from going overboard. Saren, on the other hand, goes overboard.
Oh,
Saren, I'm going to need a
Oh.
swim check.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the rest of you, like, as the storm picks up and the wind, like, there is debris flying everywhere. There is wind cutting through. All of your lanterns are out, lamps are out. Saren, for this round, you managed to keep your head above water, but you are not making any progress to getting back onto the barge. The rest of you, Tamir is I'm going to need some kind of strength check or some kind of dex check to be able to get her to some place where she can like lash herself off or hold on to something steady. Saren, I'm going to need a swim check for you to stay above water or possibly get back on the boat. And if any of you have a plan to rescue Saren, this might be the time to try to enact that. If you have rope or anything you can
I was
throw
about
out
to
to him,
say, can I
you could do something like that.
use rope?
Archer, you actually need to get back to your feet as well. So I need
True.
so this round, Archer and Tamir need to get themselves to a position of stability. And
Yeah, I guess. Fucking hell, man. If I get Brian's character killed, I'll never hear the end of it.
Oh man.
Tamir cannot get back to her feet. It's pretty much all she can do to kind of hang on right now.
Yes.
Archer, you're able to get back to your feet. Saren, you are not only able to keep your head above the water, you are able to swim yourself to the edge of the barge and you're able to get your hands on it. You're able to like start trying to maneuver yourself onto it, but I will need a strength check for that.
I wanted to activate my side blade to come out so I can jab it into the boat and hold on to that. So I'm not just bare-handing to hold on to the barge.
I'll give you a +1 for that.
I'm gonna cast guidance on Tamir. She fucking needs
She
it.
needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Tamir, just having a hard time with this.
Oof.
Oh no!
Saren, you lose your grip on the side of the barge and wash back out into the river. Give me a swim check.
Oh.
And those of you who are still standing, Avaria and now Artur, now that you're able to get yourself secure, if you want to do something, Saren, you keep your head above water for now.
Yeah, let's try the greatest skill that everyone makes fun of, but might save a life in this moment. Use rope.
Okay.
Whew. Here's Tamir's dex check.
Artur,
22.
Oh, Tamira is finally able to get herself up on the deck. Artur, you're having a hard time getting the rope out of the pack, and like maybe you're struggling to keep a hold of it in the wind and with the rain and still keep yourself upright. So you're not able to tie the rope off onto anything at this point, right now. Um, so, Saren, give me another swim check, and Artur, you can give me another used rope pick if you
Oh.
like. Oh, yeah, you see Saren go under.
Oh.
I need a
No.
con check. Saren. Archer, you are really, really having a hard time with the rope.
It is a mix of water and nerves.
Basbeer, unless you have to concentrate on guidance, you should be free to try something, and Tamir should be free to try something now.
I think Basbeer is going to lash himself to the chest. If that goes overboard, Basbeer goes with it, but he cares more about the stuff than anything else.
Okay.
Truly a
Wow.
quartermaster.
All right.
Let's see. As for Tamir, let me look at her spells. Because there might be something useful. Nothing useful. Oh, jeez. I think Tamir. I mean, really, Tamir will lower her quarterstaff into the water to try and offer another option for Saren to grab onto.
Okay. All right. With that said, Saren, you manage not to drown this round. Give me a swim check to see if you can get your head above water.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Saren, give me a fortitude save.
How you feeling, Scott?
Oh no!
Oh, I feel like
Oh,
Oliver burned. I feel like
Okay.
Oliver.
Yeah, you do feel like Oliver Byrne, don't you?
What is your constitution?
14?
Okay. All right. So, give me another swim check. You guys have not seen Saren surface yet.
Can I just wildly try again with the rope?
Yeah, you can try to lash the rope against something again. Once you get it lashed, you can throw it out into the water.
Oh God, it's getting worse.
It's too wet out here.
You're struggling.
Arthur is freaking out, and it's not helping.
Saren manages to get his head back above water. You are no longer in danger of drowning. your drowning would have to start over again if you fail another swim check. Let's and you're able with a 19. I think you're able to get close to the barge again. So next round, give me a. You can try, Saren. You can try to grab Tamir's staff at this point, or you see see Arthur try fumbling with a rope trying to lash it off. It just depends on how confident you are in Tamir's strength to be able to pull you out or to help you pull yourself out without falling in herself.
Oh fuck.
Or whether you want to wait for Arthur to get the rope tied off. You have a choice to make here. Or
Flip
if
a
you feel
coin.
better about your swimming checks to be able to just pull yourself in.
So I'm gonna go for trying to grab the quarterstaff to pull myself up at the same time that maybe she tries to pull me out of the water.
Guidance
Right.
on the quarterstaff pull.
Okay, so I am going to. So Tamir needs to give me a strength check, and Saren, you need to give me a strength check as well.
That's a 3.
Oh. Saren,
Are just swapping who's in the water now?
Oh, I really
no,
don't want Tamir to go in the water.
is Saren, you grab the quarterstaff and you pull yourself out, and it would have been enough, except Tamir loses her is you yank before Tamir's ready, and she's now fall. I now need a
Fuck.
I need a reflex save for Tamir to see if she falls. I'm not gonna have her fall in directly.
While they're doing
Fuck.
this, can I do
Oof.
the rope check again for this round?
Yes, you can.
Please, God. Yes!
Archer, not only do you get this thing lashed up really good after fumbling with it and nearly dropping it like 2 times, you manage to get this thing lashed off so good that you know that if they get a hold of it, at the very least, that thing's going to stay tied. You can now toss it out to them. And I need swim checks from Saren and Tamir at this point.
Fuck. Alright.
Please.
Come on.
I'm out of guidance.
I don't want Brian to go, huh? I'm gone for 1 week and you kill me.
Yeah, fuck. Please, Nuffle. Nuffle, please. Please, Nuffle. Nuffle, you son of a bitch.
First,
No.
oh, both Tamir and Saren go underwater.
Fucking Christ.
I need
Bobbing for adventurers.
fort save for both.
That's the worst one. Okay, 13 is not the worst that could possibly happen.
Tamir is not drowning, but she's underwater. Saren, you are in danger of drowning. It is next round. Arthur, you can throw the rope out. Saren and Tamir both need to make swim checks.
Oh,
Do I
And
make a
Saren,
check
you're
to
aware.
throw the rope?
No, you don't have to make a check. You
Okay.
can just throw it.
Because I'm throwing that, I'm throwing that rope, brother.
Yep. All right.
Alright.
All right. So swim
God.
checks. Oh,
Shit.
Tamir is still under.
God, I've rolled
Saren,
not a single roll over a 10 with Tamir.
Saren, your head is above water. Tamir's is not.
Let me make that
Can I do
fortitude.
like a reflex
Yep.
thing to grab her?
You can make
Or
a
what?
swim. You can make a swim check to grab her.
Okay, there we go. That's at least not drowning still.
Tamir is not drowning at this point. Saren, you are able to grab Tamir and pull her head above water this
Whew.
round. Give me swim checks again. This time you can both get a +2 because I'm going to assume that you're trying to help each other to some extent.
Yeah.
And
15.
Oh.
15 and
Oh,
25. 15 and 25. Come on.
you guys are both able. You guys are both between the two of you. You're able to get to the rope.
Whew.
So now you're now able to grab the rope. Now it's just strength checks to pull yourself up onto the boat.
Make
Can
the
I also do a strength check to try and pull the rope in with them?
Yes, you can. And
Not
because
great
you
at
lashed
all-
that, because you lashed the rope so well,
Yes!
Yes.
yes, Tamir is able to get back on. Uh, Saren, you're still struggling. The water is just super choppy right now. You're above water because you've got a hold of the rope and you're still holding on to the rope, but you're not able to make any progress this round. Tamir is able to pull her, and maybe it's because Tamir was able to get herself up first. Maybe
Yeah.
you might have helped her or something.
Yeah.
But
So in the process of trying to go, I'm kind of more helping her than I am about myself. So it takes me a little bit more to get out, per se.
and Arthur, give me your strength check, and Saren and Arthur, you both get a +1 for because you're working towards the same goal. But Tamir is on the deck of the barge. If one of you who is still upright wishes to grab her and try to get her safely on board, that'd be um, something you can
Okay.
do.
Whew. Between the two of
Bazbeer.
us, we easy got it.
Yeah,
All right.
Bazbeer pulls Tamir closer to the cart and because he's lashed to something heavy, so I think that he's just grabbing on and holding on to Tamir to make sure she doesn't fall.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So all of you incredibly wet, even those of you who did not go overboard. Those of you who went overboard are somehow more wet, but you're
They're
all incredibly wet.
waterlogged.
You are, but here's the next challenge. The the barge without anybody helping the crew, without any of you helping the crew, Fast is doing the best to help them keep it floating, but they're going to need a little extra. They're going to need a little help to rough this. Um, the tornado ripping through is starting to move, sort of because it went across the river behind you. Um, but it's starting to move off some. But you still need to get the boat out of the choppy waters where they can handle it. So I need a round of some help checks from anybody who is available.
I'll make an engineering check if that's okay.
Yeah, you can see if you can engineer a way to help out.
Yeah. Knowledge engineer. Nope, Bazbeer's too busy holding on to Tamir.
You're looking around and you just don't. You're like,
Would you allow
man,
a survival check or a strength check?
survival or strength, whatever you want to make.
I will make
Alright,
the
well,
better one. I'll make that
I'm
survival
trying
check.
to do a strength check here.
Whew.
Uh,
Okay.
I
So
try to help,
Saren,
but I think I've been a little too winded from playing in the river to
yeah.
actually be of any use.
Well, you and Arthur are of some use. Like Arthur, just a little bit more than, maybe you guys are sort of helping the crew that sort of has uh, maybe you're helping the crew that has sort of like the poles that are trying to keep you from smashing into the side. That have poles trying to keep you from smashing into the side of the riverbed or getting into too shallow of waters. And maybe you're kind of like using that to push off to some extent, or use paddles to kind of help move, whichever one of you is doing. You're getting wet the water is just beating on your faces and everything. And give me one more round of checks to see if you guys see how you guys do getting out. And this time, pretty much any of you should be solid enough to help at this point. Ooh, nice.
Bazbeer.
Bazbeer. Oh yeah, Bazbeer cuts the lashes off of himself from the chest and is just like, if I don't help, we are all going to die. I don't have to tell the future for this.
So, Archer, you're not able to make any progress this round, but Avaria, Bazbir, Tamir, and Saren all kind of like step up in their own way and are successful in, I don't know which,
I think the last
who's
time.
grabbing like paddles and who's grabbing like poles and stuff. Like,
Also, okay, so Avaria, the first time she tried to help, the horses kind of went wild, so she like grabbed back onto the horses and wasn't able to help. But she saw like that they were using paddles, so she the next time she like figured out a way to like calm the horses enough. Like she kind of reached slowly for a paddle, and then then grabbed it and started helping with paddles.
Bazbir,
Yeah.
is there rigging on this boat?
um, no, this is mostly done by like poles and paddles. Yeah, they don't really have a mast on this thing.
Bazbir grabs an oar and screams as loud as he can, "We're not fated to die here today!"
Oh
and
yeah.
just starts paddling.
Oh yeah.
After that
Arthur's-
swim, I have a feeling you're right. What? All right, let's go. And grabs one of the paddles or whatever and start shifting it towards the right direction, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
like Arthur's bad check is he's got one of those sounding poles that they use to push off from the shallows,
Yeah.
and it hits just right against like a clutch of rocks or something, stuck, snaps, and Arthur nearly like bowls over from having been pushing on it when it got that catch.
Yeah.
And so the bad check is keeping himself from going overboard as well.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe as the tornado sort of moves off, and the boat sort of like the currents are still rushing pretty hard, but the not so hard that the crew can't handle it from this point. And this is the point where like Fash, who's been maybe at the head of the boat, like leading the effort for like some of the people that were poling up front on the front sides and whatnot, like he's drenched and his hat is like the I think maybe he just I think his hat is like sort of drooping kind of a bit too, and he just like slumps down into sort of like the little cabin at the front of the barge, um, exhausted, and the rest of you probably may feel the same way as well. Tamir and Saren, for the rest of the day, you guys are exhausted because fighting that river was fighting the swim and keep from drowning was a chore and a half. You guys are exhausted for the rest of the day.
I'm gonna voluntarily say that Bazbir is too, because he's old and like really threw his ass into this.
Same. I feel like it would be fitting also for Arthur to be tired from hauling people out of the water.
I don't think any of us are not tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all voluntarily going, yeah, I'm exhausted.
All wiped out.
Like the entire party is just cold, wet, and tired. So the next
But
day,
alive.
but
I
alive,
won't
yes.
recover from this for another week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've heard of bone chill, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Fash kind of eventually like picks himself up and makes his way back to the back of the barge where the rest of you guys are at, and he's like, "Everybody here and accounted for?" And he's breathing heavy too.
Not for lack of the river trying to kill at least two of us.
Dairiki tried and failed.
I gotta say that was kind of fun.
Fine.
Less tornado next time, but that was fun.
I think like Fash kind of chuckles. He goes, Leave it to a green creeker to have to have fun, barely surviving at the edge of a tornado. And he kind of shakes his head. He goes, and
Look. Let me explain. My mom taught me to look at the brighter side of things. I had fun. We made connections. I survived. It was fun.
I think
Yeah.
Arthur, who has probably been looking over you, Saren, and Tamir, just to make sure that like no one breathed in any water or anything.
Right?
He's with Tamir right now, but just gives you a look, shakes his head, just goes, Southlanders.
Hey.
And like, and then Avaria looks over at Archer and like nods in agreement.
North side, south side. I get it.
Yeah.
So next day is normal. The day after, however, is a thunderstorm.
God damn
And
it.
This place sucks.
Dude, why is the weather so temperamental out here? God damn.
This place sucks.
Just
So
for clarification for notes. This is 3 days after the 28th, correct?
this is a day like you had one day of normal weather and then it went thunderstorming. Like maybe it
Okay.
was overcast all day yesterday, but
So
it
now we're
didn't
up to the
rain or anything.
30th.
Um,
Oh no, it is 2 days after because we spent a day waiting out the first storm and then we went out. So it is 3 days after the 28th.
well, it's not 3 days after the tornado. It's
After the
The
28th is
28th,
what he
not the
said.
tornado.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so you had a delay for the storm, then you had 2 days of normal, then you
2
had the
days of normal.
tornado, and then you had
Tornado.
another day of normal. Actually, you
Okay.
have for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 for the next 4 days, you've got normal weather, and then
Whew.
it's
Oh,
thunderstorm.
that's
You
yeah.
you get 4 days of normal weather, and then you get thunderstorm.
Weather.
Thunder for which is day 10. So if you want to roll a survival check to see if you can find a place to put in to weather out the storm, the thunderstorm, that I'll allow for that. Or you can continue to keep going through the storm. Keep going through the thunderstorm. I
My vote, but never mind.
mean, the thunderstorm won't be as bad as being on the edge of a tornado, but it's
So
still, yeah, kind
we're
of
in
rough.
Persip now, right?
You're it's 32 days to a month.
Yep. So we would be Persip 4th,
Okay.
right? Does that sound right to the other folks?
I
That
have to
sounds
look at the
vaguely
calendar.
yes.
I don't remember. I don't know the calendar by heart, and I'm not looking
Yeah.
at it right now.
After Decto is Persip, yeah.
Okay.
So, um, but if you want to give me a survival check to see if you can find a place, or you can try to rough it through the storm, which you'll have to make a few checks, or you can try to put in and delay for a day.
I think we
I'm
all have earned a nap.
Yeah.
I am pro waiting. In fact, I am terrible at survival, but I don't know who else is rolling survival. But I'm going to roll.
Hasbir's gonna roll, and he's bad at it too. I think everyone's desperately searching for a place.
I almost had it.
Would Basbir roll? I've got 5
14.
windows open. 14, okay.
At least I didn't do the worst.
Yeah. Poor Saren.
I think
Saren is just a
Avaria.
drowned rat.
Yeah.
I think Avaria manages to find a place. Manages to find a place that'll suffice for the time being. It's like an old. It's an old church, like an old mission church. It,
What was
Which
that?
god?
uh, let me see here.
If it's Dairiki, I'm fucking destroying this church. No, I'm kidding.
Better not.
No, there. I think who would have a good mission? Actually, this is probably probably an old church of Urzwan the Mystic Defender.
Well, apt
That's
that
what they
we have a
called me
god
in
of.
high school.
Probably apt that we have a god of protection to shelter us from this storm.
Yeah, you're wondering if maybe that wasn't the original purpose of this church. Um, you can't really tell if there was once maybe more structures that went to ground a long time ago, or if this is just sort of a sole mission house by itself. But so the next day is normal. Day 12, you get rain, but no thunder, but no storms. It just rains all day. Which you guys are, which Fash insists is probably good enough to press on through on the river. He's like, it's not going to storm. It's just going to give us some rain. Where am I at? The next day after that, it's a cold snap. Like it gets really cold. And then you have 2, 3. The next 2 days are normal. And you pull up on Green Creek Village in the middle of another cold snap.
So
So
how
it's
many
gotten
days
cold
did we
again.
travel?
So you've been uh, counting the day for the 2 days for rain delay. It's been 16 days since you like 15 days since you left Holliff, basically.
Okay, so 28.
Or no, 16. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
28 plus 16, and then oh god,
So it's the
hold on.
14th.
It's the thank you. The 14th of Persip.
yeah. So you managed to make it into Green Creek. Saren, or more properly, you guys land quite a bit east of, a few miles east of Green Creek, because uh, as Gailrad explains, she's like, we are not exactly, don't exactly want to make a big entrance. Uh, you might, but we don't. He says, we have people here in Green Creek, but I don't want to necessarily blow their cover. She's like, and I think maybe like Fash hands her a few extra gold coins. He's like, you know, I know you did this out of favor, actively saving your life, but he goes, I think it deserves a certain amount of coin for dealing with all of that. And she kind of chuckles. She's like, and I think Fash makes sure that make sure that Archer is there, like present when, and maybe even Tamir when he does this. He's like, and kind of gives both of them a look, like, remember this. He's like, he's like, we appreciate your aid in this matter. Says, he goes, hopefully you have hopefully you're able to help us on the return if necessary. And she kind of looks at the pouch of coins and she goes, we'll see. She goes, it was good doing business with you, and shakes his hand. And and he's like, and maybe she probably shakes Archer's hand and maybe even Basbier's, because like she knows you guys were instrumental. And she's like, good to meet the two. It's like it's good to meet you, the rest of you. Goes, he goes, now as long as your Baron doesn't start picking up any of our agents along this route, then we can consider this a successful business venture. And she smiles, and
Basbeer, when shaking Galrad's hand, will look her in the eye with that that weird future-telling look in his eyes, and he'll say, "We'll be meeting again, and you'll be playing a more instrumental role."
She chuckles as she goes, "Well, as long as it's profitable anyway." And she kind of and she smiles and says, "I got to get this I got to take care of all of this." And like maybe she, is waiting for you guys to offload. Like maybe this is probably after you guys offloaded your stuff. And she's like, Green Creek's only a few is only about 10 miles down the road. And she's and like Fash kind of chuckles and goes, I think we can take it from here. Sarah, and you recognize this road. You're from this area. So like you immediately like this has been a long time since you've been home. But you still recognize it. It's home.
I'm like,
Uh,
oh, that way. Oh, it's gonna be good to see Mom. Oh, so excited. Wait, what y'all doing?
he's, I think I think Fash is like, well, let's on to Green Creek and see if we can't find out more about that song. It's um and maybe he kind of like sort of leads the way. Do any of you have uh any particular thing like conversation on the way to on the last stretch to Green Creek?
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Arthur's pretty worn out by this last leg of the journey.
I
If
will
I-
say that Avaria is holding her side a little bit, just feeling a little roughed up from the journey, but otherwise she seems okay and just don't want to do anything else.
If I never see another drop of rain again, it'll be too soon.
I don't think the gods are so kind.
You know,
I have no idea.
Bounce Bear, the more you speak of, the more rain we encounter, the more your underground living arrangement seems preferable to surface life.
It has its charms.
Maybe
I
and
have
maybe
no
for
idea what you guys are talking about. That was fun. I enjoyed every bit of it.
You are insane.
Mm, yeah, so you guys managed to make it into Green Creek. Green Creek is it's a village, a rural village, much like many you would find in this area, between the Stolic and the Fossick River. Um, there's, you know, it's generally, and maybe these lands are sort of like have a certain amount of racial diversity, but there is, the kingdoms are predominantly human. Um, but there's a few halflings, a couple of half gem elves, and maybe a couple of half orcs or some orcs or something that live in the village. But it is still, predominantly human. And Saren, you would know that the Rainstag Druid Circle is incredibly influential here. Even though the Temple of Fates, the temple to Seta, lies outside, a few miles outside of Green Creek, this sort of cloistered temple of, sort of prophets and whatnot, the that not as many people go in for this for Seta's religion. Some do, and certainly people go there for oracle services and whatnot. Most of whom are you know most of whom don't generally come away with much more than what they came in with because prophets tend to speak in riddles, as you have all experienced, um, and some of you are.
Yeah.
But
Does
the
does anyone
yeah,
tell Bazbeer about this temple? Because like he doesn't know the
yeah.
surface world.
Saren, you certainly know it exists here.
I know it exists. So, generally, Theron's thought process is, I want to go see mom, and he's kind of leading everybody to my childhood home.
Okay,
You know,
that's fair. Once Bazbeer finds out, he's definitely going to make a pilgrimage, though.
okay. Saren, you get to your house, and there is a inn in town, by the way, because there's trade between Halif and Straightport, and other small villages that are not exactly detailed on the map because they've never been important. The If they become important, I'll put them on. But the maybe as who go Fash kind of when you guys get to the seeing that Saren is heading in the direction of his mother's house. Fash kind of stops you guys and says, "I'm gonna go get us set up rooms at the inn. I'm sure Saren's mom is nice and all, but I doubt she's got room for all of us and all of our stuff. So I'm gonna get us set up. Plus, I'm probably gonna need to start asking around a few questions because uh, he kind of looks at the rest of you. He's like, the rest of you meet up with me at the. He says, whoever's going with. He says he looks at Sarah and he's like, Saren, whenever you check in at home and you have a chance, whenever you've gotten settled in, come come check in with me at the inn so we can kind of get things rolling. And he kind of looks at the rest of you and he's like, and he didn't really give any of the rest of you any instructions where you should go at this point. He kind of leaves it to you guys to figure out whether you're going to go with him or with Saren, or if you're going to, uh, you know, or if you're going to start investigating, run around the woods, whatever. He kind of just leaves that up to you guys. And he kind of takes the coin purse and heads towards the inn.
Right.
I think Avaria will go with Fash.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
Bazbeer is the quartermaster. He's sticking with the cart, and I'm assuming the cart is going to the inn.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. So you guys kind of, and Sarah, you're going to your mom's house. Where are Tamir and Arthur going? What what are they going to do?
Archer go with Saren.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
have Tamir gather information because she's good at it.
Okay. All right. So we'll start with Saren and Arthur. So Saren and Arthur, you manage to make your way through and maybe your mom's house is on sort of your mom and your house is, your family house is sort of on the outskirts of on the outskirts of Green Creek. There's like a small farm, which really has never seen a ton of use. Your mother being more preoccupied with Rainstag Druid Circle business, and your father, well, he's more of a secret agent he's more of a secret agent than a farmer. So, like maybe there's some farm animals or some crops there, but not like a lot. Like there's like a family garden that maybe your mom tends to when she's home because she's a druid and plants. But you get there, um, and maybe give us a description of what your farm, like this little farm looks like, Saren. I mean, it's after all where you grew up.
It's it's simple and basic. We didn't spend much time here. We would sleep mainly here because we were be out in the village helping. So it's just a basic, small little farmhouse, maybe a smaller barn to the side that would have like different things, but it's a real small garden, like a personal garden type thing. We're not big on farming stuff, so it's just a small little thing.
All right.
And
Cool.
it's got maybe little vines growing up the side because, we just let them grow and they look so pretty on the side. And Mom said it makes the aesthetic better.
All right. Yeah. You go up to the front of your house and you're able to you have a key to the place, so you're able to go in. It's so what does the front room look like? You know,
So the front little room is just kind of a little entryway where you can put stuff to the side. Like as soon as Saren walks in, he automatically takes his shoes off because that's just what you do, and has a little spot for it. And he noticed his spot's still there for some reason. I don't know. And just up ahead, there's like a table looks like that's just sitting in the middle that people just kind of does a little catch-all type thing there. And then you got a room off to the side, another room over there. And he just kind of like walks in, kicks his shoes off, and is like, you here?
you don't get an answer.
I feel like Arthur will respect the tradition and take off his boots as well.
All right.
So I would then wander to the different rooms, seeing if she's there or if she's maybe in the kitchen cooking something or something, just to see if she's there at all.
He does not appear to be home.
Okay, so I'm gonna find like little piece of parchment or something and a pen and quill or something and write a small little note. Hey, I'm in town. If you see this before I find you, cool. If not, we'll find you. Just wanted to say hi, I'm in town.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, you see Sarah, Arthur. You'd see Saren kind of like look around the house and eventually stop and write a note for his mom. It doesn't appear to be anybody home.
Yeah, I feel
Other
like
than
Arthur's a little awkward right now because he wasn't sure what to expect, and he doesn't also know what to do in case like he's disappointed or something. Saren, I mean,
yeah.
but he will let Saren do what he needs to do and just be there and be a good friend.
Like after he does that, he writes the note, he turns back to you and he's like, well, apparently mom's not home. She might be at either the temple or with you are not supposed to know, Dad. But she might be with the people meeting. So if we go back to town, eventually they'll show up. I left her a note. But this is where I grew up. It's kind of a cool little simple house.
I feel like he blinks at the stage whispered people we're not supposed to know. It's just like, right.
you, yeah. And Saren, you get the advantage of while you're in town, you can sleep in your own room in your parents' home where you grew up. You can go back to your old room if you need to.
You awaken
Um,
feeling well rested. The most fantastical, made up thing a game has ever said.
right?
Yeah.
um, so let's go to give me the gather information roll for Tamir quick.
God, she is just rolling beans today.
That's still pretty all right.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you get kind of local gossip for the most part. So and so is this, so and so is that. You do get confirmation that there is something of a heavy feeling, though. Like the local gossip is, the local gossip, but there's a couple of times where there's somebody acts like, where people stop talking about something and the gossip they talk to you about seems to be different from what they were talking about themselves for Tamir. Um, but there's there's really And I think maybe it's just Tamir's exotic appearance as an outsider. Maybe they're not too sure about her, at this point. Like, usually it's surface level stuff. And you also hear like maybe a few rumors about like um, it's like straight port or Holliff or you know sort of goods going in and between straight port or Holliff. People's opinions of Gale Rock or Narcid or even the barony of Malkane. Um, you find out that the people of Green Creek don't particularly like the noble houses that exist from the old Lazrikaan kingdom, but sort of the noble lords who bought their titles, Baron Malkane and Baroness Deltrick, have somewhat better reputations. Um, but that just kind of goes into uh, that sort of like working class ethic of they know these people worked for their fortunes instead of we're like born into it. It's more of that, you know, they are still rich and privileged, but they earned it, kind of thing, because it's well known that they were mercenaries who bought their titles. And there have been a few village lads who have gone off to make their fortunes as mercenaries to varying degrees. So there's some level of respect for it. They don't recognize the authority of any real government here. In fact, they don't even really take a lot of advice from the Temple of Fates. I think Tamir probably wouldn't have heard that it exists. Um, they tend to get more direction from the Rainstag Druid Circle around here.
Hmm.
Like they celebrate holidays based on the Rainstag's druidic calendars, and they tend to work hand in hand with the Druid Circle in terms of the Druid Circle will tell them, don't plant over here, or you should plant over there. There's a sort of um, cooperative sort of like relationship with them. They live pretty in tune with the druids around here for the most part. Um, a lot of them see the Temple of Fates as being sort of like newcomers, even though the temple's been here for a while. The Rainstag's circle has ancient roots in these lands.
Hmm.
Um, the but maybe it takes a couple of hours for to do that, and like and going to the Green Crossing, which is the Green Creek's Inn. Basbeer, you're able to get like between you interact with the stable hands once Fash kind of like maybe you all walk in together, like all your horses and carriages like tethered outside and what have you.
Hmm.
Um, and as soon as Fash walks in, it's clear that he's well known around these parts. You guys like
Hmm.
as you're walking through the village, people greet him and he greets them back. But once you get inside, the innkeeper looks up from behind the bar. He's kind of like maybe he's maybe he's like got like on the maybe he's like got like a parchment on the bar and he's kind of got a quill in hand. Looks like he's kind of like maybe doing his bookkeeping or whatever because he's got a certain amount of like um, gold and whatnot on the bar. It's a fairly lazy afternoon. And there's not a lot of people here. There's maybe a couple of people who greet Fast when he comes in. He's like, "Hey, whatever," And as soon as he walks in, the innkeeper like looks up at him and is like, "By all the House of Salvation, Fash uh, Fash, you son of a bitch! What are you doing back here?" He's and like there's like a general friendly to it. He kind of and Fash spreads a wide grin. And he's like, "Well, I came to check on some rumors. and the maybe maybe the people in the room seem a bit like a bit relieved at his reaction to Fash. Um, and Fash is like, actually, rumors having to do with your daughter, and he kind of brings the tone low. Um, and he's like, he kind of and he's like, first things first, business, and he sets a some coin down on the table on the bar, and he says, "I'll need stabling for my horses and carriage, and some rooms if you've got any available." He kind of like you see the barkeeper's, the innkeeper's face kind of go softer and a little darker when he mentions his Fash mentions his daughter, and he kind of waves it away. He goes, waves Fash, Fash waves his Fash as gold, and he goes, "If you're here to help me find answers, there, you don't, you know what, Fash? After the things you've done for this village, don't worry about it." He says, "And if you're here to help with he goes, he goes, just your gold is no good here. The Baron's gold is no good here in this instance." And he goes, and he kind of says, "I'll tell you everything I know, and if you can help me in any way." You can see like the worry on his face, as he kind of like, as he kind of like stops to talk, and he goes, and Fash kind of looks back at Avaria and Basbeer. He's like, says, "Basbeer," says, "the stable hand out back will be able to help you get everything set up back there." He says, "Where do I have that at?" Says, he says it's still he says it's still the same guy. He goes, "No, no, actually, he retired some time ago. Got a new kid. His name is Furco. Yeah, Furco will take care of everything out back." He says, he kind of points you in that sort of like, in Fash is like, "I'll fill you in." He look and he's and maybe like the innkeeper kind of turns around and looks at his help behind the bar. He's like, "You should get a round of ale for our friends here. I imagine your sickly dwarf friend might want something to warm the bones when he gets back in."
Oh, water will be fine for me, thank you.
"Oh, well, I
I won't
suppose get
take
him a
anything-
water."
I'll
Huh?
take anything you have to drink, please. The
He goes,
warmer, the better.
he he uh he motions to his help, and the man kind of goes about, and he goes, Fash kind of looks, and he says, "This here is Lumbry Tannish. He goes, he's owned this inn since as long as I can remember." He goes, uh, and Lumbry kind of looks at him and nods. He's like, nods, and he goes, "Providing travelers with a place to stay from here to Straight Port, from out of Gale Rock on the land, or other assorted villages, because somebody's got to do it." And he kind of, and he's like, and he turns his attention back to Fash, and he's like, goes, and he goes, "Why don't you why don't you come on back to the kitchen? We'll have a talk for a moment. Maybe I can see if I can rustle up a turkey leg for you." And Fash just beams when he says that. He's like, he's like, "We'll he says, and Fash kind of looks at Avari looks at the both of you and says, he goes, you know that, he goes, you know the drill by now. He goes, I'll fill you in on everything I know when we get together. He goes, later on. So,
Hi. Avaria, would you mind coming with me to help with the horses?
Of course. I have no. I think I've gotten a handle on dealing with the horses. And she is proudly straightens her collar.
right.
And as we exit, I think that Basbier's face is going to kind of drop a little bit, and he's going to look at Avaria and say,
I don't know what it is. It is not a vision, but a feeling in my gut. I have a feeling that something is wrong here.
I don't deny it. There's been with everything that is going on with the Cripside cult and all of the werewolves and undead. I wouldn't be surprised that it has reached here, but I don't know. I don't feel the same thing you feel, but I trust your instincts.
He says, act not, but keep your eyes open.
he says, as they walk up to the stable hand.
yeah. Furco, for his part, is I'll suppose I'll put those names down here so you can put them in your deal. Lumbry Tannish, innkeeper of the Green Crossing.
Be absolutely certain that we make sure that this stable boy has
Is
a
not-
steady relationship with his father.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
Your parents, boy, are they in good health?
Do you have
any daddy issues, do you?
do you have any reason to get revenge on anyone? And should we be worried?
Yeah. So there you go. You can put those in your notes.
Nice.
So he um so he seems to be like he's a relatively, he's maybe you'd think maybe he's a teenager, um just by looking at him. He's a human. Um he's kind of like what you might expect for a peasant. His hair is kind of like um it's cut fairly short, but it's not like a really stylish cut. It's just cut. And he's sort of like maybe he's a little dirty. I mean, he does work in the stables and stuff, whatnot, and it's not like everybody here has a shower. Uh, but I mean, he probably has access to a bath, but probably not like every day or something. The but yeah, like they're but looking around, Green Creek seems to be, um, you know, a town that would be sleepy, except for the fact that it's right there on the river. And I think Tamir Cat would probably be walking up to the inn about the time that you guys are going out uh, about the time you guys are talking to the stable hand. You'd probably see Tamir, and Tamir would probably see see you guys.
Tamira, back from finding things out. Did you find anything out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that once we're all in a secure-ish location, Tamir will probably info dump. Not that we have secure information at the moment
Right.
from this place,
Well,
but
Yeah, I mean, it would be enough for Basbier to know that there's a temple of Seta,
Oh
sort of
yeah.
to the north, a few miles to the northwest of the village. Pardon.
And
All right. So
Basbier,
when
go
she
ahead.
mentions Seta, Avaria's eyes widen and she says, "Perhaps I should visit that temple."
Aye, I would go with you if you would have me. I must make a pilgrimage to the near temple. We've grave
Of course.
things to discuss with the clergy.
Perhaps then I will be accompanying you. But after we deal with our animals and our belongings, of course.
Aye, aye.
I think I think this would probably be about the time that Archer and Saren are kind of returning to. Uh,
Yep.
Bye.
Bazbeer would. Yeah. Bazbeer would inform them.
It appears that Fash is having private words with Mr. Tanish, the innkeeper.
They
Vash
seem to
certainly
be
knows his way
long
around
old
people.
friends.
He's still running that thing? Good lord.
yeah, after a little bit, after you guys have had time to deal with the horses and the carts and have a little bit of a conversation, Fash probably kind of makes his way outside, and he probably motions to all of you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Archer,
Looks like he's calling us over.
Archer, give me a spot check, by the way.
Whoa.
Hey. That's pretty good.
That didn't seem real good.
So Archer, you having been around Fash enough, you've already noticed that he tends to carve when he's not, when he's not busy doing something else or something he does with his hands. You'd noticed that he'd been carving like little wooden figurines, like little and whatnot. You actually notice as you're kind of like as you guys are kind of gathering, you notice that a couple of the kids here are playing with little wooden figurines that look very much like the figurines that he carved, that Fash carves um, when he's not busy doing something in his free time.
Huh. I
Yeah.
don't think he'll say anything right away, but seeing that, Archer will kind of look towards it, Fash, or where he knows Fash should be, and there's a glint of a new respect there.
Yeah. So I think Fash, once you guys kind of come over, he kind of like shows you guys to where we're going to be. And he's like, so here's what we're speaking with Lumbry, and having had an opportunity to get a feel for what's going on. That song may be a lot closer, maybe just as close to home as we thought. In fact, I'm almost certain. Lumbry's daughter, Etheri, and you, Saren, knew Etheri. Um, she married the son of the miller in town. It was kind of again, and the miller, his boy, wanted to be a merchant against his parents' express wishes. Well, apparently, the two, Etheri and her new husband, hadn't been long married, and he was trying to ply his new trade along the travel routes to various villages around here. Started being attacked by some kind of monster, some kind of savage monster. And she was worried after him. These trips that he'd take, always seemed to be happening along the lines of full moon. The druids warned him not to go on any of these treks, told him it was trouble, but he kept going anyway. He was a little. Etheri got worried after him and went looking for him, and she never returned. Neither did he. So I'm wondering at this point if it has anything to do, so I'm not even wondering at this point. There's a definite connection here. That bard was singing about the exact same kind of tragic story as has happened here. This is what's more, travelers have told Lumbry that there's been a man running up and down the various villages was looking for death cults. I mean, he's looking for undeath cults. Sort of matched Aetheri's husband's description, but no positive ID.
Hmm. Do we have a name for the husband?
We do. His name was Gost.
Yeah, Bazbeer's taking diligent notes.
Gost Millerson. He was this is and apparently Gost, well, his father went looking for him, but he's never returned either.
Hmm. A spate of disappearances.
3 anyway. Outside of that, this is outside of that, wasn't too long after that that the Temple of Fates closed their doors and haven't been seeing any pilgrims. I mean, Green Creek gets a little bit of trade from people on pilgrimages to the temple, but when the doors with the doors closed and no word from the priests up there, they're the I'm not sure if that's in any way connected. I mean, most of the town folk steer clear of the temple themselves. Yeah, the occasional pilgrim will go up there, but this is he says I think he says my estimation. Oh, he says he says in my opinion, our best leads here are going to be well. One, we're going to want to visit that temple and see what they know. If they'll even open their doors. Says we already have a connection with the Rainstag Druid Circle. He looks over at Sarah and he's like, do you happen to? He said, was your mom home?
No, she wasn't home at the time that we stopped by, but I left her a note that I was in town. Um, so when she gets back from her normal trek that she does, um, she'll probably see that note and come running into town to want to say hi. It's been a couple years since I've seen her because of the training I've done and the traveling and meeting y'all wonderful people. So she's gonna be super excited to see me.
Like, uh, it's like, uh, it's like, well, as soon as you hear from, we could definitely do with a meeting with the Rainstag Druid Circle. He says, I suggest we don't go to the temple. I suggest we go to the temple all together. And he says, but I imagine the Druid Circle probably be a little more informal meeting with only a few of us. Says, Saren, you've got the in with the Rainstag Circle. I'd suggest you take one. I'd suggest you take 1 or 2 people with you. He says, he goes, I know the Rainstags and I'd go as well, but I feel like I need to, he says, but I need to keep he says, but I need to be the central point for the time being. And I need to write some reports I need to write some reports to send back to the Baron. Well,
Well,
specifically to specifically to Pirmira.
so if anybody, I was thinking I was going to stay at home with my mom tonight because I haven't seen her in a while. It'd be kind of cool if one of y'all. I think we have a spare room that one of y'all can stay at out there. Yeah, there might be. Well, there was years ago. I don't know what she did with that room. I didn't think about that.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh well, I don't know. Maybe she has a spare room. Maybe not. I don't know.
Vash, perhaps it's time you begin to teach me how to write these reports. I am, after all, someone who, and he kind of pats his book, understands bureaucracy.
He goes, he goes, all right. He goes, that seems like a that seems like a pretty logical idea, a fairly solid plan. This is he said I think he's like, for the time being, he goes, maybe the rest of you get what rest you can while we can. We'll start our investigation in earnest in the morning. Because it's already like late afternoon, getting into evening.
So Avaria like turns to Basby and said, "Since we have some time, how
Aye?
do you, how would you feel about visiting the Temple of Seta on our own?"
Hmm.
Josh kind of shakes his head. I think that'd be a bad idea. One, you'd be traveling at night, and we're already being hunted by things. And he kind of looks at Archer because he
Oh, I thought
knows
you
you
said
saw it.
I thought you said it was late afternoon. That's why I thought it was still
Oh,
light.
yeah,
All right.
it's getting into evening. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's like, and he's like, he says, by the time you get out there, it'll be dark, and we already know we've been hunted for throughout parts of this journey. And he looks at Archer because he knows you spotted the gnolls trying to track you guys too.
Our Knoll friends, or at least one of them, have been trying to keep tabs on us. But I don't know how they would have fared with that tornado.
He kind of
And no swim, because they might have had fun with that, like I did. If they can't swim, if they
Just
could swim, they would have
imagine the
fun.
smell.
Ooh.
in any
Right.
case, he goes, in any case, they weren't traveling by river. He goes, wasn't anything following us on the river, just by the side of the river, from the shores. We still don't know how far we can push our luck with them.
And it's not like they're the only thing that's been following us. I don't think we've seen the last of all of this other stuff.
He goes, don't forget what Saren saw on the first day out. I don't know what that was, who those uh, creatures were, or what their intent is, but I don't think I like it very much.
Archer will nod in agreement with that.
Perhaps.
Strange floating women and large dogs. As long as they don't go offering swords to anyone.
Perhaps it would be wise for someone to stay with Saren at his mother's home. I don't like the idea of any of us going off alone in these conditions.
Very well. I will stay with Saren.
That was quick. And he gives you just like the littlest bit of playful side eye.
Someone has to she get side eyes there and rein him in to some extent.
Whatever you say.
I'm
Well,
confused. It's just mom.
in the meantime,
She
yes,
pats him on the shoulders. It's fine. It's fine.
Vash just kind of he goes, we'll have free meals here. He goes, for our stay. Is but we do owe the innkeeper Lumbry Tannish any information we can collect on his daughter and her whereabouts and whatever happened to her. He goes, so if we find out, well, we need to tell him. He goes, and he kind of he kind of says, enjoy the evening. Get yourself something to eat or drink down in the common room, and he goes, and be prepared. He goes, and be prepared. He goes, something tells me that he says something tells me that this is not going to that our investigation isn't going to turn up anything pretty.
Has it ever?
He shrugs his shoulders. He shrugs his shoulders and he goes, and maybe he gives you maybe he gives you a half smile and he goes, I don't know, Miss Tackard wasn't she wasn't wholly unattractive, and just kind of chuckles at that. And he goes, I'm
No,
just
she
kidding.
wasn't.
He kind of chuckles. He goes, I'm just joking. He goes, figure a little humor before we get into this. He goes, Basbier,
Besides, besides, we all know that you, Fash, are married to your reports.
he goes, he goes,
I thought he was
"Eh,"
married to a turkey leg. It was a quick divorce.
he he laughs. He kind of chuckles. He goes, a turkey leg? Only if I'm a black widow. He goes, yeah. He kind of
Ah,
chuckles.
what's the term I've heard? Serial monogamist?
He kind of laughs. He goes, and he kind of laughs. He's like, all right, you find out anything new, report back. Basbier, I think we've got some reports to fill out.
And you guys see Basbier's face just light up. Like he's so excited to work on reports. He's like, this is what I'm made to do. It feels like home again.
So you guys got so you guys have like the ability to wander around Green Creek and such here. Where are you guys all headed off to? Is anybody going to get themselves a meal downstairs now, or explore Green Creek, or um, what are you guys up to? Because there is like a general store and places where you can buy other stuff, whatnot. In fact, Fash might hand off some coin to somebody if they're looking to go take care of getting the supplies, getting like food and rations together.
Archer might do that before he gets into his cups for the night.
Yeah, it's like so Fash would hand you off enough gold to get you guys rations for a few more weeks to pack up. Um, and you're um, as you're kind of like all filtering down to whatever you're going to do, there's Ivaria. I think there is a I think there's a like when you go downstairs, there's a man down there that's talking to the guy behind the bar, and he's like, which is not Lumbry himself, but his help, and he kind of turns around and he's like, he looks around as soon as you come down, like you see the bartender pointing your direction, and he's like, and as he meets you as you come down the steps, and he's like, excuse me, miss, is your name Ivaria Kraz?
I'm sorry. Who are you?
He goes, I'm a courier. I have a message for Ivaria Kraz.
That is me.
And he goes, he pulls out a scroll tube and hands it to you. Yeah,
All right, I take it.
he looks at you expectantly, like he's waiting for something.
Oh,
Close the door on his face. Close the door on his
right.
face.
Well, I'm downstairs. There's no door. I'm at the bottom of the stairs. There's no door.
Just walk away, man. Don't give him nothing.
Oh, thank you, and then just like walk past him.
That's what Bazbeer would have done.
He looks downcast and but leaves.
We hate the working man.
Absolutely.
Apparently, stiff the courier. It's all right. He got paid on the other end, so um,
Yeah, it's not like you
he's
I
not
go up
gonna
to
sit
the
there and
UPS
be like,
man and go, here's a fucking crisp 20.
Yeah, we live in America. That's tipping culture is rampant out here.
Yeah, we
And
do.
even then, we don't tip the mailman
Yeah, yeah.
unless you you steal the platinum chip from him, then you tip him by putting some lead in his head.
Game was rigged from the start.
Fuck that
Yeah,
guy.
there you go. Completely different game here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the courier leaves.
I look at the scroll for a minute, like kind of look at the outside. Um, I'm gonna roll. Not that I have anything to be worried about, but I'm still gonna do it. I'm gonna roll a spot check just to see if I notice anything. Not that it's gonna do much because I have a
Oof.
-1. That is I rolled a 1 and I got a 0. So I noticed nothing about this. This is perfectly fine. And I open it.
All right. So there is a the inside there is a there the what it says inside, and it is in finely written script, uh like you were born. It was is a message like that says, would you like, it says, if you would like to know more about the circumstances surrounding your birth, you can find information at the Snap and Snarl.
I stare at it like for a good like I sit out and I stare at it for like a good 10 minutes. Just rereading this very short thing.
Yeah, and
Uh
it's signed with a large J. It's signed with a J at the bottom.
like I read it for like 10 minutes and then I like clutch my side like in pain.
Hmm.
Stupid boat ride. And then after a minute, after like 10 minutes, I get up and I go to the helper at the bar and I say, um, "Have you ever heard of the Snap and Snarl?"
Who are you asking?
Huh?
Who are you asking?
The help behind the bar.
Yeah, he kind of looks at you and goes, never heard of it. He goes, they're he goes, he kind of turns around and he's like, maybe he looks at the serving girl and he's like, you ever heard of this, of something like the Snap and Snarl? And she goes, and she's like, how the hell should I know? She goes, and she goes, what, I look like some world traveler? She goes, and he kind of just like gives her, he just kind of like gives her an exasperated look, and he just kind of shrugs his shoulders.
So it's not a local establishment. Um, no kind of seedy bar hidden behind the butcher's place in an outhouse. No speakeasy to speak of.
He goes,
No.
uh, this is the only drinking establishment in town. He goes, I mean, I, I, I don't know of anybody who names their outhouses. Snarl, but I suppose it could be possible. And he just kind of looks confused. He's got that look on his face, like, why would anyone name their outhouse anything? Like,
No, I'm asking you. I'm not from Green Creek.
he goes, yeah, no. He goes, there's pretty much this place, the general store, Uncle Smith, on every Tuesday or Wednesday, farmers set up in the marketplace, sell some of their crops. He goes, but anything, he goes, he goes, he goes, is it a place of business you're looking for? Is it a song? He goes, I don't know anything about this.
And it's the snap and snarl, correct? I'm right then. Um,
Yeah, that's what the note says. He goes, but he goes, I don't. He goes, he's clearly clueless at this point. Like you, like,
maybe and so like what time of day is it? Is it dark out right now, or is it still a little bit light?
it's getting dark. It's probably getting on about. The equivalent of the real world is 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. It's getting to that point. It's about dusk.
All right, so I am going to I'm gonna look around and see if any of the party members are watching me before I leave the building.
Hmm.
And can I do a gather information, a quick gather information to see if I can find out the name of this place or the location of this place?
Right. Yeah, you can do a gather information check.
All right, let's see if this does anything for me. Oh, it's not bad.
Mm, Saren, why are you hiding?
I don't know. I just come bouncing down the stairs. I didn't know if he's about.
Like, I saw the hide check and I'm like, are you following Avaria or something? What's going on here?
No, I
Um,
I come down the stairs just as he's looking around and being like, "So, wait, who's going with me to mom's?"
Avaria, but she is just walking out the door. You probably see her leaving.
yeah, you might. Yeah,
You probably see her leaving because she's not hiding, but she didn't want anybody to. She didn't notice that anybody was downstairs, so she was hoping to leave before anybody came downstairs. So you still would catch her leaving.
Like, hey, where are you going?
She
Oh,
slaps her forehead
oh well.
but then she thinks she's like, oh, Saren, you're from around here, right?
Uh, when I grew up, yeah.
Have you ever heard of any place called the Snap and Snarl?
you have not. There-
Like, what do they? Do they sell things, or
And she
is it like a fighting thing?
she shakes her head like, never mind, never mind.
It sounds
Um,
like a fighting thing.
do you mind if I meet you at your mother's house in a little bit? Or you can come with me, in fact. I just
I was
want to
gonna
find
say,
out.
do you know where mom's house is?
yeah,
Um,
you were with Saren when Saren went to his house.
she said, no, I went to the hotel. I don't know. So I'm like, come with me. I just want to ask around about this. I'm looking for a little bit of fun around the town and see what and I heard about a snap and snarl, and I want to see what this place is like. And she is just lying to her teeth, obviously. Um, I'm not gonna roll a the like a I'm not gonna roll a bluff against a player, but um, she yeah, she's asked if you want to go with her. She just want to ask around about this place.
Oh, we might see somebody I haven't seen in a while. I've been gone for several years. That might be kind of fun to see local people and see how they're doing.
Excellent.
So,
And then she heads out to ask around with a
right.
16 gather the information.
So with a 16, um, really, Trying to think what the likelihood of anybody around town knowing anything about it would be. Let me roll, let me roll something here. Let's see. Hmm. I think I think someone says I think like maybe you come across a traveler like somebody like a merchant who's doing some maybe who's doing like uh maybe at the smith trying to like that's selling some minerals and stuff. He's like snap and snarl goes, feel like I heard that somewhere before. Up north. Maybe Narset?
Her eyes like
Breakshore?
widen when her eyes widen when she hears like he knows her, and then he says it's up north, and she like her heart sinks and like, well, thank you for that information.
He's like,
Doesn't do me much good here, but
he's like, he's like, well, he goes, sorry, that's the, says, I couldn't even tell you where I heard it, whether I heard it in Breakshore, Narset, or what exactly it even was. It just seems like I've heard that before. He's like, he goes, why? What is it?
she like shakes her head. She's like, nothing. It's nothing.
I don't know.
Come on, Saren. We should head to your mother's.
All right. So, what is everybody else doing with their time right now? Everybody kind of
Carousing.
browsing. All
Yeah,
right.
after getting our larder filled back up, it's off to drink.
All right.
Bazbeer is
Um,
learning the intricacies of how this particular government fills out its forms for its intelligence agencies.
yeah.
And
um,
loving every second of it.
um, it's almost as exciting as you thought it would be because it's a bit more informal than you're used to. Um,
Oh.
like
Scandalous.
Yeah.
effectively, like I mean, mostly Fast just sort of organizes his thoughts on what the facts are of the investigation, what he's found so far, and then probably adds his perspective or his thoughts on him, like and whatnot. But he does have it organized. I mean, it's not like there's not like a form per se,
Mm-hmm.
but he does have a particularly fairly organized way about the way he jots down the information and what he's trying to get across.
Yeah,
Um,
Bazbeer takes definitely very detailed notes, and like essentially like he probably says something to the effect of,
They must trust you a great deal if they do not have you beholden to particular scruples of formatting.
kind of shakes his head. He goes, well, it's kind of like this. Baron Malkane himself knows that intelligence reports are needed and that they're worthwhile and that you should have them. But he also understands that there's probably not going to be that they can also be that they can also be overburdened a little bit. Thing about Milla, he was a mercenary, not a part of a standing military per se. He's got a sense of organization, but he understands that intelligence reports can also be wrong or have outdated information. So while we do need to send them back in and have them relatively organized, and he's more interested in personal debriefings than the reports. Pirmira is a bit more interested in the actual reports. I really don't know what she did before. Some people say she helped the Baron Malkane and Baroness Deltrick fight in the war between the constant wars between Goratag and Vestia. But no one's ever necessarily spoken directly of what that is. In fact, a number of their staff, their generals and intelligence individuals come from the ranks of folks they fought with at some war or another.
Hmm.
So,
Those that you
Pyrmir,
can trust.
yeah, the ones that survived it. Pyrmira, on the other, is a complete enigma, though. No idea how she lost her eye. No idea whether she actually served, what war she might have served in, or how she came to work for the Baron. Didn't really talk about her past a whole lot. Never been terribly worried about it, other than certain level of curiosity.
How did you come to work for the Baron Fash?
Well, I was helping around here for a good long time in Green Creek, but not a lot of employment opportunities. Plus, eh, you know, there were a few travelers I met come along the way that helped out with various things or that worked for the Baron. Actually, it was Pirmira who recruited me. She was out here on a mission she was looking for spies. Um, we worked together for a little while. She was impressed, figured the Baron could use my skills, offered me a solid contract. So I said my goodbyes and went to work for the Baron. Well, I had to meet him first. I mean, I wasn't going to just work for the guy blind, but he seems like a decent enough fellow, seems to care about his people more than a lot of the, rural folk out here would give him credit for. He's extended aid to some of the villages that are outside of his borders when he can, but he goes, yeah, he goes, as far as Primera, she's a mystery. As far as the Baron, well, his reputation seems well earned, and he seems like a decent enough sort of fellow. We've always gotten along well enough. Worse people I could be working for.
He's a wise ruler. He's the first one to have listened to my premonition and not, well, discarded it.
Well, like I say, he and the Baroness both both fought against Vestia, working for Goratag. And I tell you what, the orcs are proud. The orcs and goblins and such of Goratag are proud warriors. If they hired the Baron and the Baroness, they must have been something pretty special in terms of fighting prowess.
Mm. And he'll say, probably,
In a past life, long time ago, my people would have viewed those of Goratag, from what you speak of them, as proud enemies. But strange bedfellows have been made of us all.
Well, you see enough. You see enough immigration come from Goratag. A few orcs looking to join, or who have grown weary of fighting the same enemy, just simply for one reason or another don't get along with their people back home. I don't know. There are not a ton of them, but there's a fair enough amount because there's a lot of different kinds of orcs up there. There's a lot of different kinds of goblins, a lot of different kinds of all those. type of goblinoids, if you will. He goes, he goes, you'll find some scattered around out here, but he goes, certainly well enough to have a reputation not to cross them. You'll find a lot more in Gale Rock than you will most other places. I've heard of a few working around here because, it kind of, and maybe he's kind of wisening you up to some of like the politics in this
Yeah.
discussion. He goes,
Oh yeah, and
he's,
Asbeer is taking notes.
he's like, now the Baron Malkane and Baroness Deltrick, they fought in the war together. Say they're old friends, but from my understanding, relations between them are somewhat cool. Uh, they haven't met in person very often, or for a couple of years. Uh, at this point, we're not able, rumor has it that there's something to do with something that happened in the wars, but no one's really ever talked about it, and they're never anything less than civil to one another. So there's never any when they do meet. So there's never any sign. He goes, mostly they have aligned interests against Duke O'Canther. He goes,
Aye, and what of this, O'Canther?
you know, O'Canther, he's a tricky one. The O'Canther bloodline dates back to the original royal families of Lazrikaan. They've got probably the largest amount of wealth, the most amount of troops. They have a lot of mineral. O'Canther's got a lot of political and tactical power, and he knows it. And he's been wanting to absorb the baronies that Malkane and Deltrick are in charge of for a lot of years, but Malkane's soldiers are trained better, and, well, the Baroness has a pretty strong arcane background, and between the two of them, they may not always be in lockstep, but one move from Ocanther against one or the other, and, well, they'd likely band together to fight that kind of threat. Plus, Ocanther's not likely to make a move unless he knows he can win quickly. Countess Gister would likely make a move from the south if he drew too many of his forces out from the up north.
Hmm.
And and Gister's probably the biggest worry that he has. We don't hear a whole lot from Gister. He goes kind of a lot of land barrier, but he goes plus the Abrish Mount, between the Duchy of Ocanther being kind of in the way and the Abrish Mountains, kind of a long trek around just to get there. Hear stories about Gister from time to time. Not but it says, but I've never actually been there. He goes, by all accounts, they don't really feel like they need the rest of us anyway.
I've
He goes,
seen your Baron in the visions that I've had. I've seen a large round table, representatives of places far and near. There are shadows where some may sit. I hope that those shadows are not signs of ill omen.
well, I hope those shadows don't represent either Ocanther or Gister, because either of them have a great deal of military power.
Hmm.
And Ocanther's intelligence operations, yeah, they're the best in the land. Yeah, I mean, when you have mind magic where you can read people's minds, yeah. He
How
goes,
does one gird themselves against an invasion of their very psyche?
he goes, you see the dilemma. He goes,
Hmm.
he goes, haven't heard much from old man Ocanther in a long time, though. Uh, I mean, he sends envoys, but a personal meeting with anyone been a long time coming. Yeah, been a long time. Well, since I should say. He goes. He goes. If you're going to be up here on the surface world, it's best you know that it's best you have and you're going to work in this with the intelligence operations for Baron Malkane. Best you understand how dangerous Ocanther is.
Aye. And Fash, I've one other concern.
Name it.
This Baron that we work for, good intentions or no, I worry that at some point my loyalty will be called into question. Oaths and the like. I am loyal to my people, and I worry that loyalty must be pledged elsewhere.
He goes. Well, if I were you, I wouldn't worry about that bridge until we burn it down. Until we burn it down, trip over it, half drown underneath it, and a tornado rips through it. He says the last bit with a rueful smile.
Yeah.
He goes, "Your people are far enough north and keep to themselves enough that I'm not entirely certain that we're going to need to worry about questions of loyalty this early on."
Hmm.
He goes, "We need to stay focused to the task at hand as finding out what's going on with these cults."
I worry these cults. Not worry. I know these cults are a sign of something much larger. I worry that we waste our time here.
He goes, "Yeah, well, you don't, unless you're incredibly unlucky, you don't stumble right in the middle of all of the answers all at once. You got to peel things back layer by layer. And it may seem a slow start, but this is the first layer."
Hmm. Wise words. Thank you for allowing me to confide. I
He goes,
put on a stronger front for those around, but my heart fills with worry. Daily it grows.
I think he kind of looks at you. He goes, "So, this death of mine you mentioned, if it should come to pass, kind of
Hmm.
need to, you'll need to act as an advisor to whoever ends up taking charge of the unit. And personally, my first pick is Arthur. There's a lot of land to travel across, and most of you don't have a lot of wilderness skills." He goes, he goes, um, "You'll need to advise," he says, "you'll need to advise him and probably help him with the more bureaucratic part of things. I doubt that he's going to take particularly uh, joyfully to reports and the things like that."
Why do you think that I asked to join you today?
He goes, "I guess that is forward thinking." And I think he kind of like can't. I think he kind of like probably um, hands you the report that he's written to study. He goes, "This is kind of how I organize thing." He goes, "When I send it back, you may expect to occasionally get a courier that with more specific questions." He goes, "But he goes, in which case answer him as succinctly and detailed as you can." He
Hmm.
goes, says, and I think he kind of like says, "I'll let you study that. When you're done studying it, I'll send it off with a courier. But for now, I'm going to go have myself an ale. It's been a long road, a wet and cold road, and I need something to warm the bones."
Kinda nods and will, let Fash head off and probably close on that as he just rereads and rereads over the report.
Right. Saren and Avaria, you manage to make it. You make it back to Saren's mom's house. Saren, your mom has not apparently shown up here at all. This is not entirely unprecedented. I mean, she could be gone for days, depending on what her business is in the forest. But there's there is food stocked here, so you can make dinner if you so choose. And there's probably there's probably a jug of wine somewhere.
So Saren brings in and he's like, well, this is where I grew up. Over there, that's gonna be my room.
Very
Um,
quaint.
wait. So mom may not be back today. She may be a couple days. It's depending on what the circle. Shh, you don't know about the circle. Anyway, so they generally do things for a couple days, and I just chill here by myself sometimes. Probably have food. You hungry?
Of course.
Okay, let's go see what food we got. Let's do that. We
All
go
right.
make food. Throw something together.
Are you a particularly good cook, Saren?
Um, I know how to throw a couple things together to make it edible. Whether it's high quality, yummy, tasty food, probably not.
I'm not much better, so I just figured I'd ask. Lead the way.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Yeah, I guess we just eat unless it's something that you had planned.
uh, trying to think. I think probably among the rumors you heard of Aria when you were taught when you were out gathering information. You also once again heard about there being no contact with Hiron Vineyards.
Iron Vineyards.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's because the remind me about the how do you spell it?
Uh, just I'll put it in chat here.
No. Thank you.
Yeah.
So like as we're eating, I'm like I heard something about a lack of contact with a Hiron Vineyards. Do you know anything about this place? I know you said you left here very early to do your training. Uh, however, you may know something about these vineyards. And she like watches him prepare food.
So this is actually something you might know. You actually probably would know something about too of Varia, at least on a surface level. So Hiron wine is some of the finest and highest quality wine in Lazrikaan.
Okay, cool.
Right. And it's some super expensive stuff that, highborn and wealthy merchants drink. Like
All
it's
right.
um
I would like to change my response to that when I found it. Like
yeah.
as we get the wine, I'm like, oh, Hiron, excellent choice. And like she as she pours it, she's like, I've heard that there has been very little contact with the Hiron vineyards recently.
Uh, no, probably. That's mom's and dad's. I don't drink. Like once I noticed I got my powers, I kind of stopped drinking. Maybe when I was younger, I did a lot because we do random parties throughout town. And anyway, that was past me. But yeah, sure.
Yes, yes, you are the greatest conversationalist, Sarah. And she like downs her wine.
Yeah. It's it is very good and it's fairly potent too. Like you've had different. You might have had some wine here and there. This has been fairly good. Um, if you guys want to, you can make knowledge local checks to see if you know anything further about Hiram Vineyards, other than they make really good wine. But
I think that I
you at
have
least
enough.
know that much.
Yeah, I'm not trained in knowledge local. I wouldn't know. So
Okay.
just from what they gathered, unless I can do it untrained, I don't know anything. Um, but the wine is very good.
So, Theron, that you would know that that the Hiram family that owns the Hiram Vineyards has a couple of different vineyards, in a couple of different places, but that their ancestral, like their first and original, and the place where the Hiram family themselves set up is closer to is sort of north, closer to Narset. It's in that area, but it's still in the woods. It's still kind of a few miles away, but it's from Narset, but it's close enough. But there's also a vineyard in the barony of Deltrick, um, and maybe a couple of other places too. You're under the impression that uh, that they've bought vineyards in a few places. They're supposed to be pretty wealthy. The
And the
Hiram
one
family is.
and just for clarification, the one that had very little contact is just the is it the main one or is it
It's
all
the main. It's
okay,
the main one.
okay.
Like people have a tendency, naming wise, to specify when it's someplace that's not the ancestral, the original one. Like they'll specify, oh, the vineyard, the Hiram Vineyard Deltrick outside of Pothil. They'll be more specific when it's not the original.
Yeah. So like now, so finding that out, like it just feels like conversation, like regular conversation as we drink the wine, and like
Yeah, yeah.
this tastes like original vintage.
Like the one
So
up right near it, because that's where the family mostly does most of their stuff. They got stuff everywhere, right? But I don't know. I was just thinking and cooking. Hard to do both.
it's okay. And you said you don't drink. You should try this wine. It is very delicious.
I haven't
And
drank in like several years because it's hard to manifest a sword when your brain is inebriated.
fair enough. She takes another step.
Because maybe the sword would come all out curvy and weird shape. It comes out more solid if you have a clear mind.
Well, I do not want to uh, inhibit your abilities. Two glasses is enough for me. Um, and I will save one for when the food is ready. She says, but this could be the last bottle that we see for a while if no one is operating the main vineyard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to drink all of Mom's wine either. Well, she probably has some somewhere else hidden, knowing her. But anyway, true. I mean, where, sorry, my brain was still back in the river. Just holy crucibles.
It's okay. I think giving you wine would actually make this conversation much, much worse. why don't we why don't you continue cooking and I will sit here and enjoy your company in silence.
All right. Yeah. So I think that as we kind of like pan out. Like maybe we actually Saren, give me one more spot check.
Oh, nice.
Right. All right. Yeah, you managed to cook and you managed to cook and keep and as we kind of pull out, there's we get kind of like the um sort of screen fading to black as we see
There,
like
there's one more thing I'm gonna do. Sean,
huh?
there's one more thing I'm gonna do. Hold on. There's
Oh,
one thing I
okay.
want to do before we go.
What are you gonna do?
Uh,
All right.
so Varia grabs her side again. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Is there somewhere I can go private? My side has been hurting me ever since the boat. She's talking to Saren.
I
Is
mean,
there?
there's that room. I'm
Oh, thank you.
cooking. You can probably go in that room if you want while I finish up getting this cooking done, I guess.
All right, thank you. She gets up, like holding her side. She walks into the room. And closes the door. She like lifts up her shirt to like see like the bruise of damage, and it is not a bruise, but in fact it is a huge like missing patch of skin, and a little bit of her rib is kind of sticking out, and that patch of skin is surrounded by like necrotic dead flesh, and she stares at it, eyes wide, not knowing what to do. All right, and I'm done.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Tasty.
maybe the camera kind of like pulls back from the window of like pulls back and through the window, and we get like the last shot we get as the camera is pulling back is of Saren's parents' house with like smoke coming out of like the chimney and what have you, and it looks super cozy, but like you know then it kind of fades to black. And I think that's what we've got. And I think that's where we'll call it for tonight. So everybody start sending me your Player's Choice Awards and we'll start doing sign offs. So who wants to start?
I can start. Hello, everybody. My name is Mira, also known as Mira Shades GM, and today you caught me playing Bazbeer Foreteller, who is learning a lot about Fash, the world around him, and about weather. Uh, he does not like weather. But yeah, other than that, you can catch me on Tuesdays for Quintus Superior, where I play Calcitrary Ostium, Door Kick, or Kick Door, the fascist space cop. So everybody loves a fascist space cop. And other than that, I will be around. There is a certain project I'm working on that I won't spoil anything about, but eventually you'll see me again, perhaps in a GMing capacity, perhaps even with some new faces. But that's going to be me.
All
All right. Well, I'll go ahead. I'm Joe. You have caught me playing as Evaria Kraz, who just when you find out one thing about her, there's a deeper, darker secret about her. She is learning about herself and the world around her. And I don't have any other games on the network, but so you probably won't see me around much. Maybe one day. But you can always check out Half Sisters on Stars.
Always be plugging.
Always ABP.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. And who's next?
I could go next. Hi-ho, friendolas. My name is Ron, otherwise known as I. Got me here today playing Arthur, who got to have some character development and got to really struggle with some rope. That whole situation was hairy. But all I could say about all of this stuff, especially what we ended on, is itchy, tasty. You can also find me here on Tuesdays, not this Tuesday, but the upcoming Tuesday, where I run Era Indomitus Quintus Superior, the Warhammer 40k Dark Heresy game, where they are now within the big gun and are trying to fight the gun cult. No, not the NRA. You can also find me here on Wednesdays when we run, where I am in Seafoam Bay, where I play Aaron Wieldgrasp, the witch who has a freaky little long Furby that does magic. That's it for now.
All right. So
That
in
leaves me.
Nope.
That would leave me then.
Yep.
Yep.
And for a second, I forgot what my own name was. Scott. That's what it is. Holy quadruple.
Scott, I love you.
All right. So I'm Scott. I can't remember nothing. I played Saren, and Saren was just enjoying the ride. You got to swim a little bit, have some fun, got to come home. Mom's not there, but that's okay. Still had fun swimming. And I'm not. Me, Scott, is not in anything else. This is all he's in, and this is fun because I like funness. That's a word. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Hold on a second here. I'm still doing some calculations. But first of all, Player's Choice Award goes to Avaria. Extra 50 XP for Avaria.
Thank you.
And 150 XP for everybody.
Ooh.
Yeah, because you guys, that I rolled a tornado. It's like, motherfucker, how am I going to handle this without absolutely killing everybody? Well, it doesn't
Oh my
say I
God.
have to be right in the middle of the tornado, so we're gonna do some skill checks. Awesome. I am enjoying putting together this campaign and having fun with it, adding new to it, changing elements, having fun stuff. I am the Just a King Zarat. You can catch me here every other Saturday for Lands of Lazrikaan. And I have been really enjoying this and continue to enjoy it. Yeah. Um, that tornado though.
That's
Fucking tornado. It has threatened my dice have threatened to roll a tornado on me this entire fucking campaign, and finally they did. Like you guys have been like within 1 to 5 on any given roll of getting a tornado. I knew it
that
was coming some point.
tornado, dude. That was a mess.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, that is all I have for today. See you all to you out there in viewing land. I will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Let's get an RIP posture and get out of here.
All right,
R.I.P.
Oscar.
R.I.P.
Oscar.
Oscar.